So I see transitioning as taking it out on yourself. I don't see it as any different from cutting yourself or anorexia. I want to be a slut. I want to be a slutty girl on the internet so bad. I want to be Lav. Like Instagram models, filters, that's a lie. Makeup is a lie. Like cosmetic surgery is a lie.
What if I told you that people transitioning don't necessarily have a goal of becoming like models?
I don't believe you. The goal of being a woman with a capital W in society is to be a model. I'm a male, and people treat me different because I'm a male, and I hate them.
Oh, Smeth's here. Hold on. Shut up.
Oh, wait.
Hey there, Smeth.
Hi.
You could have joined
What's up?
immediately, by the way. Hey.
What's up?
Right.
I had to sing beautiful people for my beautiful people.
All right, word. I'm sorry, I didn't really catch that.
It's all right.
We were trying to speed run a bunch of research real quick, but I realize it's not a super empirical debate, so I'm good.
Well, you were saying we briefly talked, and I think it's not empirical, but I think you think it's more empirical.
I think it's more empirical for sure. Because if you're asking
you've already let me gaslight you.
Okay. Well, I think if you're asking a question of like, is there an essential difference between trans people and cis populations such that there's like an actual basis for it outside of just a social contagion or some like you said, like a red pill movement that's just like kind of people looking for fulfillment. I feel like that is kind of a question of looking at, okay, what markers do we have biologically for that? You know? Okay.
Well, so I made the comparison to red. This is something I recently came up with. Red pillars, I'll get criticism from those type of people. They'll say, well, if you want what you want out of life, you gotta change yourself. You gotta become the alpha male, whatever. And I feel the same way. It's like, well, I also want to become a woman or whatever. And I learned a long time ago that what I really need to do is I'm a freak, and maybe you don't like me, and that means I have to try 3 times as hard to get what I want out of life. But I'm not going to change myself. I'm going to force the world around me to change, or I'm going to force my way into some place where I fit in.
Word. I mean, that's one way to look at it. If you think that it's all just kind of a socially driven source of pain, there's nothing like essential there. Because like if you believe that like dysphoria is a very real thing, it's not going to be something that's like entirely driven by society forcing you to conform, right?
So there are studies that show. I'm sorry, I'm not answering your question directly. I don't want to.
It's cool.
I don't want to. What was what is your question?
Well, I just think if there is something essential to transition, then what you just said about it being like a unnecessarily socially enforced expectation for people to transition is kind of wrong, just on the face of it, based on like whatever factual basis we have. Because yeah, if there's like a medical reason to transition, like an essential dysphoria that will only go away if you do transition, there is no social adjustment that would correct it.
I think that being womanly and being a nice person, being a people pleaser, or having ADHD, I think that these are not. So there is what I was about to say a second ago. I have ADHD. You can tell because I just started 3 topics without finishing any of them, and you don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. And
word.
So yeah, I have ADHD, but also I don't think that it is real. But I do think that there are studies that show differences in people's brains who have ADHD. But there are also studies that show differences in people's brains who play the violin. And I think it's they've decided it's probably related to fine motor skills and music, listening to music, but in particular, different from other musicians, violinists have a slightly different brain. But I don't think they were born to be violinists. I think that their brain is different because they are violinists. And so I think that my brain is different, like I have ADHD, because of my childhood and my parents fucked up somehow. So I think that if you and I don't even think that. So let's say that you have a brain that looks more like a woman's brain, right?
Yeah.
I don't think that there's anything wrong with you, just like I don't think there's anything wrong with me, and I don't think you have to change your body. I think your desire to change your body is awful, and that's like that, you know, the dysphoria, I think that's real, but I don't think that you were born to have dysphoria.
Oh, I don't necessarily think that you were born like genetic, like I don't really have a strong leaning towards someone being born to it or even having like a genetic predisposition to it. I just think that like whatever the case may be, it could have just been in like an onset environmental cause very early on. This population that's seen as transgender seems to not really respond to anything other than affirmation for revealing dysphoria. It seems to be a more essential force in their lives.
What do you mean when you say essential then?
By essential, I mean like, it's an attribute that they have that can't really be ignored. I don't know. Like it's part of them physically. It's a biological trait. I guess that's what I mean in that context.
Okay, so by that definition, I think that you could say that I'm trans because I have, my last stream I was just bitching about it the whole time. It's what the whole stream is about. Where does my misogyny come from? My resentment and my jealousy of women and my feeling like a misfit. It makes me really, really resent and makes me really misogynistic. But I don't think that I don't want to take it out of myself. I want to like, so I see transitioning as taking it out on yourself. You're changing yourself so that you can be happy with yourself. It's like it's I don't see it as any different from cutting yourself or anorexia. I respect people who are trans and they go through a lot to look the way they do, and I don't, you know, I don't want anybody to transition, but if you have transitioned, I'm not like here to shit, go for good for you, you know what I mean?
Okay, so
you've done something cool. I know it's weird. I don't think you should have done it, but I think it's cool, kind of. You know?
Okay. So the correct, I'm kind of losing the plot a little bit. You said something about it being similar to anorexia though, and that's always a sticking point for me. I feel like the key difference there with the understanding that I have would be that it doesn't require like a lack of insight, for one. And for two, there is like a meaningful end goal that you can reach that would mitigate your dysphoria without like that. You wouldn't talk therapy it. It would be like an actual physical change that seems to resolve it or at least mitigate dysphoria. Whereas with anorexic people, you'll never get to like 30 kilograms or like 10 BMI and then they'll like magically be cured. So
I think that I think that anorexic people feel a lot happier when they're skinnier.
Well, that's true, yeah. And I think like there's an element
so that
of
mitigates
like,
it.
I mean, for one, it doesn't mitigate like the actual problem there. Like I've struggled with kind of eating disorder stuff before, and it seems to be more of a mode of like dealing with anxiety. Like it's a very much like a coping tool. So it seems like when these people reach like a given weight, they might feel better for a little bit, but the end goal isn't really there. It's just kind of a way that they feel less shitty about themselves day to day.
Well, I see being trans as the same exact thing.
Why?
I don't think there is like, so I would say it's even worse than anorexia because you actually can become skinnier, but you can't actually change your sex. So, and I mean that to say like the technology we have is like I would be saying something different if we actually had like pain-free, easy like options that if we had like a button that you magically press and you instantly change your sex, I would do it every day for fun. Okay. But what I'm saying is you actually, with being anorexic, you actually can get to what you want. And with being trans, you actually can't ever get there unless what you want to be is something in the middle.
I have two issues with that. One is the idea of anorexics having somewhere that they want that's like understood, because that's never really the case. It's always kind of just an infinite like addiction.
I think I don't think that's true. I think they want to look like an Instagram model, and they might have a warped perception of themselves. That means that they always think that they are fatter than they are, and they may not realize that they actually are the thing that they want. But I think that that's the same thing as being trans. I think that what the desired outcome is to feel comfortable in your own skin. And I think that so for me, I've chosen I feel like I have the disposition to be trans, but I've chosen to be comfortable in my body and mad at the world instead. So I see it as if I were to be trans, if I were to transition, I'd be taking it out on myself, but I want to take it out on everyone else. That's what I want.
Okay. I mean, I hear you, but I feel like I could put a pin in that for now. The other part of it that I had an issue with is I'm losing the plot a little bit, but I what was the thing that you said before I addressed the anorexic thing? I'm sorry. I lose track of the conversation a little when it goes to I should write like bullet points.
I'm also not very linear.
Yeah, I'm very linear. I'm sorry. That's like a big contrast. I guess I can stick to the anorexic.
Well, you're not good at keeping it. You're not good at keeping it on the train tracks.
You're right. But the anorexic thing, I very much disagree that there is. I do agree that like culturally it seems to get like induced from girls wanting to be like Instagram models or having some ideal usually. That's usually how like the habit comes into play. But I think it's a bit analogous to like smoking or like an OCD person washing their hands excessively or turning the lights on and off. I feel like anorexics have like an irrational fixation with limiting their eating habits for stress regulation. I don't think it's very much based in like an end goal.
Well, I don't agree. I think that if it's spurred on by Instagram models, there is an end goal. And the end goal is to be an Instagram model, and an Instagram model is a fictitious image that you actually can't actually be, which is the problem. Just like transitioning, you want to be who's like the most famous, most beautiful like trans woman, and like
probably.
I guess, but like I'm thinking of something like Text Taj looks kind of still like a human being. I mean, like Instagram model. Like there are trans women that look like like dolls. Like they look like Instagram model women. And I think that vast majority of people that transition, you're never going to get there. So I think it's exactly the same thing. And and so, but I was talking to Ray Williams, and he was telling me that there are a lot of trans people that settle for being like in the middle, and they're just like, I want to be like a freak, you know what I mean? And they're like, I want to be like a weird, like non-male looking, non-female looking person. And it's like, oh, that's kind of like, I kind of respect that a lot, because they like, okay, fuck it, this I'm balling, you know? I don't know.
Okay, so one issue that I have there, and I remember it now because I was going to say it before, you mentioned earlier that an issue with transitioning and why it's kind of worse than anorexia is because it's fundamentally irrational because they'll never become females, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think I have an issue with that because based on my own experience and from what I understand from trans people, the goal isn't really to necessarily become biologically female, but to mitigate dysphoria by having less of a physical difference between your internal sense of your sex or your gender and your body.
More female you are, the more mitigated it is.
The more female like you are, I would say.
Yeah.
Yes.
So if you were to become female, you theoretically would have 100% mitigation. But then even then, you'd still want to be a beautiful female. And so I still think it's the same trapping that all women have. I think that the Instagram model effect. And
you're right that there's... Yeah, sorry.
When I want to, I'm sorry, I don't want to, I'm going to pivot again. So
it's cool.
When I want to lose weight, I look at Instagram models. I think about how it feels to be sexy and desired, and that is the path that leads you down anorexia. And if I were to live in that world forever, it'd be unhealthy.
Yeah. I guess I do agree with you that a lot of trans people go into transitioning with unrealistic expectations, and there's a lot of people who will target being like very attractive. But I think that is like more of a woman brain thing, not really emblematic of what dysphoria is at its basis. There are like
Do you
loads
actually, so you actually think people are born with women brain?
maybe not like literally like a girl brain or a boy brain and it's like perfectly categorized, but probably more of like, if I had to guess, probably certain features of your brain are exhibited in women and
Sure,
not in men.
but I'm saying that I think I agree that it is woman brained in that way, but I think that it is like, so I think that if you are a trans woman, you have the same affliction that most women have. And I don't think that it's healthy for women to play into it, and I don't think it's healthy for trans women to play into it. I think women should stop shaving. Like, even though so for women, it'll make your life better to wear makeup all the time, to dress slutty and to stay skinny and to shave all your body or whatever the fuck you have to do. And maybe for trans people, it might make your life better, make you feel better about yourself, or give you access to community or access to theoretically different options romantically, theoretically. I don't know how realistic that is, because I think a lot of people end up isolated depending on where you live. But I think that it's the same thing. I think it is. You are a fucking woman. I say, as I was saying the last time I streamed, that I'm a woman in this way. You are a woman. You are a woman in this way.
I'm a real woman, yes, of course.
No, not a real woman. No, I don't. not by. When I say real woman, I think that means female. But when I say in this context, when I say you actually are a woman, you actually are thinking like a woman, and you have a lot in common with women and more than men.
I mean, I would say that I do have like an inherited set of commonalities. Like, I do want to be pretty. I probably do want to be skinnier. I do look up to like Instagram models to some degree. But I wouldn't say that that's like essential to dysphoria or like
God,
what
I want to
attribute
I want to be,
dysphoria to.
I want to be an Instagram model. I want to be a slut. I want to be a slutty girl on the internet so bad.
I mean,
I want to be Lav.
all power to you.
I want to be Lav.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think a lot of women would probably want to be alive. Yeah, you're right. But
Yeah.
does that mean that like that? I mean, is that all there is to transitioning if trans people happen to have similar desires to women?
Well, it's I agree. I don't think dysphoria is something to be, turn your nose. I think it's a real and really serious thing, and I think that dysphoria to the point where you feel like you need to transition is not very far from suicidality. You're saying you believe you're wrong, and so that's real. You really have that brain. Your brain thinks that you're wrong and hates itself. You hate your body. And so I don't want to shit all over that. That's real. You know?
I mean, if you agree that, okay, so basically from your perspective, you're saying it's real, but it's just kind of an irrational sort of feeling. You think you're ugly, which I know is like Mr. Girl's position as well. It's just like body dysmorphia.
All feelings are irrational. It's just that this is particularly unhealthy.
I think I would, if you have, this is why I said that there's kind of like a fundamental facts basis for the argument, because if you believe that there's like a neurological condition of dysphoria or like some actual physical basis there, then it's not really like an irrational thing to want to resolve it. For example, someone in chat asked a hypothetical.
Of course, if you define it as real, then it's not irrational, but I don't agree.
Well, yeah, that's the issue. That's why it gets to more of a factual basis, because if, like someone in chat asked, if you're born without legs and you experience lower quality of life due to that fact, is it irrational or delusional or non-essential to get prosthetic legs? Yeah.
Yeah, but that's a like actual disability. Like,
well,
you're like, if you're trans, you're a healthy human being, and there actually is nothing wrong with you.
Well, that's essentially the
You're actually
disagreement, right?
to transition. You have to like cause serious damage to your body and your ability to reproduce
Well, I would
and your
say,
sexuality.
yeah,
One thing that this one pisses me off that people like to pretend is not true is that transitioning does fuck with your sexuality and your sex drive. And
sure.
I met trans people who like are told that that's not true, and then they transition and they're like, oh shit, like that is true, and wow, now I'm like this.
I mean, I will tell you that's definitely true, but I want to quickly. I'm sorry, I'm really bad. I should bullet point more. That what you said before
I'm a
about
tough one to grab.
yeah, trans people being completely healthy. I would say, oh my god,
Their bodies,
their
their
right.
bodies.
You said that they're. You basically said non-subjectively transitioning is bad for you. I would say that it's kind of analogous in my head, given that I believe that there's like an essential condition there that can be resolved with affirmation and have decent outcomes. In my head, it's a bit like treating like depression with like SSRIs or something. There are like clear negative outcomes to your health physically, but like subjectively for this group of people, it can be effective for them.
Right. So I think that too. I think that the act of ameliorating a negative feeling through drugs might have, like, obviously, like, clearly, obviously, there are benefits to doing that, and there are people who probably need that, and there's a reason we have these drugs. But I think that the act of ameliorating your negative feelings about yourself or your life, or ambient negative feelings or ambient anxiety, comes at the expense of your actual mental health. I think that, like, so if you are depressed, it's because your life sucks in some way. And for you to take
Very often.
SSRIs, yeah, and taking SSRIs means you're going to put up with whatever it is, and that's not good. And so I think that a lot of trans people, there are probably, the thing about trans, there's probably a lot of different reasons to be trans, but in general, I think that there are probably people, particularly probably your parents or something, the way people have treated you, that you've internalized, and just like I have, that you being a man or you being a woman is related to the way you're treated. And it is related for everybody. Trans or not, people treat me a certain way because I'm a man. There are things that about me that people can call me a loser or a failure or whatever, where they wouldn't do it if I was a woman. They would be criticizing me in a totally different way. So people care about different things in men and care about different things when way people treat me is very different because I'm a man, and I resent that. And I think that coming to terms with the fact that, so I think the healthy solution is for me to stand up for myself and say, hey, fuck you all. Everybody in my life that's treating me like this, you shouldn't be in my life, or you're not treating me right. I don't want to be treated like that. And to try to surround myself with people who actually treat me right. And I think that trying to ameliorate those negative feelings comes at the cost of making those changes where you end up with a life where people are treating you right.
Yeah, I mean, the take that I'm getting from you, if you don't mind me reframing it, basically, you feel that there's an essential problem usually with depression that sometimes people will try to ameliorate and ignore with like SSRIs, and it can have bad outcomes for them because instead of getting rid of the issue causing the depression, they've just ignored the symptom of it. And you see transgenderism as like analogous to this because they're ignoring the body dysmorphia or self-hatred that caused them to feel that way.
They're ignoring they're ignoring the even more hidden shit, the system that they live in. It could be even more ambient and less easy to pinpoint. But it could be that the school that you're living at, the housing that you're living in, just the city that you're living in. It could be like your teachers or your parents or your friends, and they are all making you feel like you don't deserve to be happy, that you're not good enough the way you are, or maybe you've already been made to feel like that, and you've internalized it. You were made to feel that way in your childhood, and now it's lingering and it's persistent. It's going to be really, really hard to get rid of, but I don't think it's impossible to get rid of, but it will be really hard. And I think that the way to do that, I mean, I picked some really fucking weird music for this moment. The way to fucking do that is to get mad and transitioning, I think, is getting mad at yourself and taking it out on yourself, but you should fucking take it out on the world. That's what we need. And like, that's what we need to make the changes in the world that'll make it better for people. And then I think less people will be transitioning.
Okay, so what if I told you, in my perspective, I basically believe that even if the world was completely ideal and accommodating to any type of person, and these environments were like solved, I would still say that there is something there that would cause them to want to transition.
I think that in this hypothetical, this perfect Truman Show-esquely perfect hypothetical where everything's perfect, I don't think you would actually want to transition. If theoretically for every single individual, you could Truman Show their whole life and control every variable so that they do not get any messaging and they don't feel like there's something wrong. They aren't taught to feel like there's something wrong with them. I think that they wouldn't want to transition.
Okay, sure. I feel like
so like my desire.
Yeah.
Wait. My desire to be a lav or be a slut. You know.
Sure.
Like if I grew up into like a world where it's like. I mean, I've gone through a couple periods where I made like OnlyFans, and I've been a slut. I am a slut, but I wasn't encouraged the way like a woman is, and I didn't really get anything out of it. Nobody fucking cared, and like women, because it's complicated, but
yeah.
But if I was accepted as a slut. You know, I feel like that's the thing. I feel like men have to work really hard to prove their worth, and they have to become stoic, and they have to become stoic and like a tool and a machine just to be deserving of love and be deserving of family and community, where women are by default deserving of love and community. And if I feel like if I was treated by default as deserving of love and community, then I wouldn't be so resentful of women, resentful of myself, and self-hating, and I would be content.
Okay, I understand. You basically, okay, I don't super understand it. I'm going to be honest with you. You feel you would have been more content with yourself if people were more accepting of your desire to be a slut, right? Or to be feminine.
Well, I've lost the whole desire to like have a woman's body. Well, no, right. Actually, no, I still want that. It'll still be fun. I still want that. Yeah, but it's not like I have. Well, I do have body dysmorphia in some ways, but whatever. It's normal amounts, I would say. But I am resentful that I'm not like. So I went to art school, and all the women at art school, because it's like 70% women, they all got like supportive boyfriends that gave them a leg up in life, and they, you know, like nobody's ever going to do that for me. Most women actually want me to do that for them. Like, fuck you. No. So it's just, and so I'm going to have to work if I actually want to have that role and be that bitch. I have to work harder.
Yeah, so basically you saw there's a lot of things that are nice of the social package of being a woman that you kind of envied.
Yeah.
I mean, I definitely think that's a real thing. Like, a lot of men feel envy for how much more women are, like, empathized with, or the roles that they get in relationships where they're usually seen more as the receiver of care.
Yeah, women don't end up homeless for this because I'm looking for an apartment right now, and so they're like all the art ho because I mean I call them art ho communes because I've gone to them very often, usually on Tinder dates, and they all want women or females. They don't say women. They'll say we accept everyone, but they want females, and that's not me. So
Okay. I mean, what if I told you that just by virtue of you feeling comfortable with yourself now, in spite of not transitioning, there is like kind of a marked difference between, you know, me and you.
well, of course, like you just said what it is, but I don't think that well, see so being comfortable with myself comes at the cost of having to try 10 times harder, right? So like the other solution that I could take is I could become a red pillar and I could be like, I have to become a giga chad. No, I'm still that bitch. And I still want that. And now I'm just going to have to try 10 times as hard to get what I want out of life. And it's not impossible and I will do it.
Yeah, sure. I mean, there are like loads of possible motivations to transition, which I know you're getting at, that are outside of like an essential dysphoria. That's true, but that doesn't really like negate the existence of dysphoria.
I don't think it does.
Really?
No.
So why would you not believe that affirmation is like a valid response if you diagnose someone with dysphoria?
I just don't think affirmation is a valid response to any psychological situation, condition. Like if you are, if you believe that people are following you, telling somebody that's true and that it's okay because people really are following you, I don't think that's the most healthy thing to do for them. I don't think it's healthy to help an anorexic person starve themselves. I don't think it's healthy to transition trans people. And if they like, so if a trans person is like actually going to, end their own life, unless they transition, I think that them transitioning is a soft version of ending their own life and trying to make a new life. And so I don't really think you've changed their suicidality. I think that you've just like redirected it, but like still think they're suicidal. And I don't think you're actually they're I don't think you've actually made that go away. Because I don't believe you can ever just be happy by transitioning. I don't think you can suddenly find happiness by getting plastic surgery or any of these things. It's just no. I don't think you can.
Okay. Well, then basically that would suggest to me that you don't actually believe in dysphoria in the way that I do. Because I believe that okay, sorry.
Maybe I don't.
Yeah. What do you think dysphoria is?
I think that if you gender dysphoria is that you hate your body and you hate your sex and you think that people your association with how your correct association with how you're treated, you're based on your gender, makes you horrified by your life.
Okay. Well, I would say it's more than just disliking how you look, because I would call that some form of body dysmorphia most likely, or just being like insecure as like a regular human being. I think dysphoria is like distinctly like an emergent distress that you get from having like an incompatibility between your neurology that has like a rough internal sense of sex and your actual sex. That's kind of
so
again,
would you say that a suicidal person has life dysphoria?
No,
That dysphoria. So I know you I think you were talking about somebody on the last stream that you mentioned this girl, and she talks about her suicidality a lot in her videos. I don't know, maybe you didn't. I don't know, maybe I'm misremembering.
No, I don't remember this girl, but I would say that suicidality.
Anyway.
Sorry.
So I think that you can, by that standard, you can say that anybody that's suicidal has life dysphoria, and they believe that they should be dead. And there's a lot of people like that, and I think they're all fucking wrong.
I think the issue there is you're basically saying that by virtue of having a medical problem, it can be branded as, I guess, like, dysphoria technically is just distress if you look at the literal meaning of the word, and gender dysphoria would be specifically applying to this emergent property of what used to be called gender incongruence in the old DSM, but now it's not really seen as a mental disorder. It's seen as just a symptom that is called mental distress. But anyway, I would say that gender dysphoria is unique from suicidality because it's caused by a physical condition. It's not from someone having a delusion or...
I think it is an equal physical condition to being so suicidal that you believe that you are meant to be dead and that it's wrong for you to be alive. I think that if you believe that you're meant to have a different body than the one that you have, and you're meant, and it's wrong for you to have the body that you currently have, like if you lack legs, then you lack functionality to function in society. But you don't have any lack of functionality. You just have I don't. You are like there is only your desire is to take away functionality, and I don't think that it's
Sure. I mean,
just changing yourself. Even I'm even against changing yourself laterally without removing functionality, like doing makeup to look like you are younger or anything like that.
Okay, let's say I told you that someone could hypothetically have a really low budget and they never do skincare. They just do caked up shitty foundation every day, and they ruin their skin over the course of like 10 years from like being a teenager to an adult. And for the rest of their life, they just have like eczema. Would you call that like a healthy thing to do? Or
I don't think that it is. I think that the skincare topic is, well, skincare, makeup, it's all the same thing. We're trying to make people look like younger, more doll, like, pristine.
Yeah, but there's a negative health outcome associated with some things that you can do to look better, but there's like kind of a subjective value there that you kind of, hey, there's like informed consent in play that you can kind of decide on, and then there's also medical basis for things like, for example, taking depression medication with like a million side effects that are bad for you usually, but are excused because you have this net effect that's useful for this group of people.
I think that every individual, it is beneficial in your life to do makeup. It will make your life better when you do makeup, but it comes at the cost of everyone else, because for every one person that does makeup, everyone else is uglier. And so, yes, if you are the one who doesn't take the pills so that you have nice skin when you're an adult, you will have a worse life than everyone else. And that's because everyone else is taking the pills, and they're forcing you to take. It's like plastic surgery in society is going on it's on the rise, and it leads to a society where more and more people have to get plastic surgery because the standards of beauty rise. In South Korea, the amount of women getting plastic surgery is like 20% or something like that, and to apply for a job, you have to send headshots and shit. And their amount of plastic surgery going on there is exponential. They're the plastic surgery capital of the world, and we're going towards that. We're getting more and more and more of this stuff, and so I think that these beauty alterations do make your life better, and it is a race to the bottom.
Okay, sure. I mean, I could follow this for a little. The beauty thing is good, but only subjectively. It's not like this universally perfect thing. It has like negative consequences as well. You would agree, right?
Well, I don't know what you're saying.
Like you've identified that there's a bad holistic, like societal experience that women have once you have makeup introduced. They have a increased standard. That's one of the negative effects that you have.
But they have a good experience when they put the makeup on.
Yeah, so there's like a subjective value there.
Their bad experience comes when they don't wear the makeup. But I'm saying that as a collective, when everyone wears the makeup, it means that the one woman not wearing makeup looks like a fucking hideous beast because every other woman's wearing makeup. Yeah. So on an individual level, it only looks like if I wear makeup, my life will be better. But on a societal level, wearing makeup makes everyone else's life worse.
Okay. I mean, the main thing that I kind of want to pivot to or get you to acknowledge is that there is like a decision there that isn't entirely like a universally good thing to do, but it's kind of beneficial to one facet of their life. Like a person choosing to wear makeup is not making a decision that is like perfectly good for their health in every possible way, but subjectively they've decided, okay. And
I wasn't talking about like there it could be good or bad or completely neutral to their health. I'm just saying that they will have better social outcomes wearing makeup. As a matter of fact, it will.
Sure.
But like I wasn't talking about their health.
Okay, but I would say that there are also health negatives to wearing makeup. For example, even like body dysmorphia is like a component that comes in. Some women put on makeup and then they start to actually dislike how they look without makeup. You have actual physical skin effects as well. Like if you wear foundation every day, your skin will get worse, especially if you're not cleansing it after.
Right. So not only is it bad for everyone else, in the long run, it can have negative outcomes with you too. So nobody should wear makeup. I hate it. I like.
That's where I disagree. I would say there is still a place for makeup. It's just not this entirely unnuanced good or evil. It's a subjective value.
Well, I'm saying that it makes everyone else's life worse when you wear. But caveat. Okay, I think that it's fine if you wear makeup that doesn't look like it's your like. So I have this attitude about makeup that is meant to make you look younger and like change like but if it's like goth makeup, you're not trying to look like it's clear that it is makeup. So I don't have a problem with self-expression. If your self-expression is that I am too old and I need to look younger, or I need to look more pale, or I need to, I just need to look like a sexier version of myself, that is what I have a problem with. Because not only is it bad for all of society, but it's also it's a lie. And so we're all living in this lie where we think that women are a lot uglier than we think.
Okay. I hear you. Makeup has very negative social implications, but I do think that there's a place for it because it makes women feel good. And
me too, but
sorry.
Yeah, well, I think there's a place for it, but just not like I think that if it extends to the point where you can call it like clown makeup, I'm like, fuck yeah.
Sure,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. I would say that like there's room in society for subjective decisions that can have value in one facet of your life, but aren't necessarily all good.
I don't want to stop them from doing it. I just think that I just want to acknowledge that when you do put on makeup, it makes every other woman uglier. So it really is. It's like on so many levels, like Mean Girls is the reality. And even if you're the kindest, most empathetic, nice woman, whatever, you don't even realize it, but you're participating in the Mean Girl world because like you put like, or I don't know, maybe you don't, but when you put on that makeup, you're actually playing the Mean Girl game because when you look prettier, you're making them all look like shit.
So how do you feel about guys getting like really buff or potentially even taking, we don't have to qualify that part actually, people who get really buff at the gym?
It's not it's not a lie. It's not a lie though. And so like you have to like work out really, so I don't think that there's anything wrong with like diet and exercise. It's honest. If you do steroids, it is a lie, and it's the same thing. And it's worse because it's worse on a different level because it can have extra negative health outcomes, but it is a lie, and it's just as bad in that way.
Okay, interesting. Let's say a woman gets cosmetic surgery and she's very convincingly a very pretty, like 10 out of 10 woman.
Liar.
She's
making the rest of us look uglier.
Okay. So,
yeah, like because you have kids with her, and her kids aren't going to look like that.
Okay.
And everybody else that like, so now everybody that doesn't have cosmetic surgery looks uglier because of her.
Well, the thing is, like, if you have sex with a gym bro who's like 5'9", your kids aren't going to come out looking like a, Arnold Schwarzenegger. They're going to come out just being short people.
If they work out the same way he did, then they will.
Sure, but it's not like a inherited trait.
It is an inherited trait that they have the genetics where if they work out like he did, they'll get his same outcome. If he does steroids, then they won't.
If a woman has a nose job or if she wears makeup every day,
when you work
her
out,
daughters could do that too.
When you work out, it is a reflection of your genetics and your genetic capabilities.
So you're okay with having a influence to the social zeitgeist of what's expected for appearance if it's like sourced from your genetic code, if it's something that you can reproduce.
Working out is not putting on makeup. It's like your physical health. Like working out is healthy, and like it's not a cosmetic change. It is just your body.
Yeah, but it is partially cosmetic.
Being sexy so somebody that works out is sexy, and that is not a lie. They actually just are sexy.
Okay. What if you got corrected?
Unless they do steroids, then it's a lie.
Well, what if you got punched in the face as a woman and you had corrective nose surgery to make it normal, but then it made you more attractive than most women because they gave you a cute button nose? What then?
I think that is a lie, but I understand it. And I don't think I like, if I was a king of the world, I wouldn't just stop everybody from doing all these things, but I would want them all to know that.
So
I want them to feel guilty.
What if they have a sign on their forehead that says, "I got a nose job"? Does it become good then?
That becomes amazing. It's like, well, it's all that I would, dude. Boogie getting liar tattooed on his face, that is so fucked up, dude. Fuck.
Yeah. I mean, so for you, it's partially the health benefit justifies it. And then
No, I'm saying that if you work out, it is actually just your body. It's not a lie.
Yeah, but part of it, like the reason why I brought it up is it's partially analogous to creating like a social environment where people have larger expectations for themselves because you have upped the ante.
Okay. Actually, you know what? I will agree. You know what? You're right. Bodybuilders that are not doing steroids but are still bodybuilders, and they're doing like shit every day that is completely so let's see, we lived in a society where all men are doing like dumb workouts that aren't actually, well, it's still going to be good for your health, but it's just not that good for your health, and it's not actually going to make you too much more fit, but you're working out your glam muscles, and you probably still live longer. So I think there is some level in which it would be you're making everyone else uglier by, like, a rich guy that spends all of his time like perfecting his body, like Andrew Tate. Like, you can't have a body like Andrew Tate unless you're rich and you have a lot of free time. You know what I mean?
Sure, yeah.
So for him to say that anybody can do that easily, or just try, you need to have free time. So
what if I told you Andrew Tate? Sorry.
What if he's probably doing steroids? I don't know. What is he?
Yeah, I mean, like most people at the gym who are like that big, or I guess Andrew might actually be natty. I'm not quite sure. I'm not a big gym bro or something.
He looks like he could be natty.
Yeah,
and he was an athlete. He was a fighter, and they would have been drug testing him. So I think he might actually still be natty.
It's
I
more
don't know.
possible that he's just like, because he's like toned, he's not like ridiculously huge. But yeah, what do you think of people who they do have a health benefit for it partially? Well, technically testosterone's bad for you long term, but in your 20s, you're going to be really powerful. What do you think of that?
What? Oh, think of what?
Of taking testosterone when you're like a young gym goer?
I think it's a lie.
It's a lie, but it's also, I mean, it's technically unhealthy as well. That would be part of it, no?
What are you fucking getting at?
I'm trying to figure out your like qualities for when this becomes bad, because I think overall I would circle it back to these are, in this
When
case,
it
there isn't
is
really
dishonest.
Sure.
Because when it's dishonest, then it makes everyone else look bad because it's not what a human being looks like. And if we have an expectation of human beings being something that's not actually what human beings look like, then that's a lie and that makes everyone uglier.
Okay.
But human beings actually do look muscular if they work out. Working out is not like getting a surgery or anything. Working out is something probably everybody should do.
Okay. Yeah, I hear you. But if we were to loop it back to the original argument, I guess the only analogy I was trying to make is there is some subjective value you can decide on that isn't really perfect for everyone in society, or even yourself, really. But there's this one value to it, and I feel like when it comes to taking depression medication or transitioning, there is like a possible basis there that can make you justify it rationally, even if there is like a perceived harm in one aspect. For example, taking exogenous hormones will reduce your libido. It will probably potentially cause blood clots. It will probably give you heart problems if you have way too high of a dose. Maybe if you have a lack of hormones, like in the case of puberty blockers, you have like reduced bone density, but there are like potential cases where it could be overall like a net good.
It's a lie.
It's a lie. Wait, so if someone with, let's say hypothetically, which I think seems to be borne out, it's slightly better than placebo. Let's say SSRIs seem to have really good outcomes for people diagnosed with depression, and the way that I understand it is, you said earlier, you believe that they're skipping over the cause of depression by taking SSRIs. What if it's borne out that by virtue of taking SSRIs, they're able to correct their circumstances and their outcomes are actually very good?
Well, then that's good.
Because, like, yeah, very often the state of mind is helpful in improving your life outcomes as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Sure.
But that would mean that, like,
I think it is a tragedy. I think that they shouldn't be in a situation where they need to resort to that, but it makes sense that they would, and I support it. But I think that's not the ideal solution. It's like having an option of two bad solutions, two bad options. It's so.
But realistically, like, everyone with depression is going to be there for a reason. They're not going to like be able to wake up and then fix themselves. Very often, like, fixing depression requires like a
You've already made this. I know. Yeah. I get it. I just
Yeah, but it would still be a lie, I guess, technically, because you didn't really get there in a normal way or in like a.
Well, no, we're not talking. That's a totally different topic. Like with the lie thing, I'm talking about like beauty. So I'm saying that like you look like you have genetics that aren't what you have, and it's in fact not anybody's genetics. It's just like Instagram models, filters. That's a lie. Makeup is a lie. Like cosmetic surgery is a lie. Like I want people to just look like people, and then we will all be more sane, and we will all look less ugly as a result.
What if I told you that people transitioning don't necessarily have a goal of becoming like models or sluts or bimbos or whatever the fuck?
Excuse me. I don't believe you.
That seems to be the majority of trans people.
I think they want to be attractive. I think they want to be attractive.
To be clear, everyone wants to be attractive. I'm not going to say that that's not true. Everyone does want to be attractive, but the goal with transitioning isn't to become a model. That's what I would say. Like, I do agree with you that like the standards. Yeah.
the goal of being a woman with a capital W in society is to be a model. And so if you want to embody the role of being a woman where your beauty is now your source of empowerment, then the goal is to be a model. And if the goal is just to be like a hairy feminist, then the thing that a hairy feminist would do if they were in a man's body would be to not transition. So
I would say
the way to be a woman without being a model is to just not do anything.
I would say that there's no, for one, there's that's another issue I have actually. Do you think that like you can not become a model and then be a woman just as like a hairy guy?
I'm saying that the women that are not trying to be models are opting out of the social gender role.
Well, yeah, but I would say like, okay, so
to opt into the gender role means that you want to be a model.
There is like more of an expectation of certain traits associated with women outside of being a model that most trans women prior to transition won't exhibit. They'll usually be like higher muscle mass, have less fat on their face, they'll have shorter hair. There are things there that they might want to correct and become more in line with like the average woman before they even think of aspiring to being a model. Do you disagree with that?
I think it's incremental. I don't think, I think that like I was saying, I think that the goal, being a woman means that you are empowered by your physical attractiveness. You are empowered by your body and your sexuality, and your presence is a commodity. And I like that about being a woman. There's negatives. There's plenty of negatives, but if you are one of the feminist women who doesn't play into the gender roles, then you don't do any of that stuff. So I think that if you are like, I think this is where you get into like lab territory with like it's just like the trans women are, playing into gender stereotypes and gender roles. Because if you want to be like a hairy feminist woman, just don't do anything, and you're equals. That's what they want. That's what you, if they were to be changed in your body, that's what they would do.
Right. I would say that there's a lot more to being a woman than being a model. Like, I think there's like a basic set of...
I say that as a catch-all, but like, like the expectation, all the expectations for women, I'm saying being a model, but like the model as the archetype, all the expectations for being a woman, those expectations, if you are a feminist woman, you ideally won't feel like you need to live up to those expectations. So there's nothing to change about yourself. I mean, so feminism saved me.
Yeah, the one issue, another issue. Yeah, sorry. I would say that there are like clearly an association. There's an association between certain traits.
I'm waving my hairy face, pussy proud.
Okay. I hear you, queen, but I think most people in society wouldn't see you as a woman, is what I'm saying.
But I don't care because it doesn't matter. I don't even care if you think I'm a man. It doesn't matter to me.
Wait, so you're like more of a gender abolitionist angle where you believe that being woman is not necessarily tied to any physical marker?
I think being a woman is tied to how we treat females.
Okay. But in that case, how would you be a woman or a female?
I'm just me.
Okay, but what if I told you that some people have like a distinct sense that they should be like this?
Well, I do have that distinct sense. Okay, I'm a male, and people treat me different because I'm a male, and I hate them. Okay, they're all fucking assholes, and they're treating me wrong, and I don't want to be treated that way.
What is a woman?
What is a woman? Woman is somebody that is treated a certain way because she's a female.
So,
or perceived as a female.
okay.
I perceive your voice, like your appearance from your photos.
I
I
appreciate
perceive
that.
you as female. I do.
Okay.
And so I'm treating you like a woman.
Okay. So
Not that I treat women very different, though.
that's kind of similar to my view on it in a roundabout way. It's basically a certain set of traits and behaviors that are associated with adult human females. That would be roughly what I would call a woman. Right?
Yeah.
I would say that in that case, you agree that there are very real expectations for what woman is when you go into the world, or when you have even like an internal conversation with yourself.
Yeah, fuck those expectations.
Okay. But those are expectations that, for one, you internally, most people will feel because it's reinforced. It's
Yeah.
probably partially essential, actually.
I
Probably,
expect myself to have a sexy thigh gap, but I don't. And
Okay.
you know what? I hate that part of myself. That part of myself
I
is
hear you.
the enemy. That part of myself is the enemy. I'm going to take
Okay.
my bra off and expose my flat chest to the world.
Yeah, I would say it's partially the social reinforcement there, and it's also your internal sense of your sex that plays a big role in what you see as like man or woman. So I would say it's not something, it seems like since these things are like women and men seem to have stayed 99% lined up with sex throughout all of history, I don't think it's like an entirely socially constructed thing. I think it's something that will likely exist even privately if you put someone in a void of space where they only grew up around themselves with a mirror. I think they would actually still have a sense of it.
Yeah, because of society. Society's wrong.
No, I
We're
actually
treating
think
people
if
bad.
you I would argue
an
that
island?
if you raised someone in an island, yeah, removed from society, they would have like a vague sense of like what woman is or what man is.
I think that there are some behavioral differences between men and women, and they're probably very slim, really. There's some, but most of them are going to be informed. Like for instance, morphology in itself. The fact that men are stronger means that they're going to within themselves have because I'm stronger, I want to help people that are weaker. So that'll change my psychology in big ways, starting from when I'm a little child. And so there will be things that your morphology in itself will change about your psychology that wasn't even but it's an impact between your nature affecting your nurture in a cascading effect. But I think that the actual differences behaviorally, if you level the playing field, and we live in an empowered society where we don't need to be protected, we don't need men to be big, strong men with club that save women from Bowser. I think that in a level playing field, the differences are not that big. I think that so for instance, the intelligent, the forbidden intelligence charts with men being stratified in the dumbest and the smartest, and women being stratified in the middle. I don't think that men are born to be either dumb or smart. That doesn't make any fucking sense. I think it's because men are in a role where they feel like to be deserving of love in the society, they need to take high risks. And with high risks, I think that living a high-risk lifestyle might make you a retard in the end, and it might make you a genius in the end. I think that your intelligence is an outcome of a lot of the decisions you're making as you're growing, or decisions society is making for you too. So I think that men are dumber and smarter because of how we treat them, and I think that women are safe and in the middle. They take the safe path because of how we treat them. And if we expected women to take risks, then they would be stratified as retards and geniuses, and then men would be the safe ones.
Sure. I do agree that there are like environmental influences to stuff like this. But I do think that given all that we've seen in the world historically, how much these seem to be expressed in every society, like these big divides in gender strictly along sex lines, in most cases outside of transgender people, that I would argue have existed for a while. It seems like there is like likely like an essential reason why men collect into certain behaviors or women collect into certain behaviors.
Sure, some of them, yeah. I don't know what they are though.
Yeah, I would say like it's an equally large role or probably even bigger than social enforcement, but yeah.
We're never going to know unless we start leveling the playing field.
Yeah, you're right. A lot of things have been removed. Like the strength of the expression is not as severe as before because the way that you tested it before was you had to physically be tested to survive. So
we need to like give women guns in their vagina.
Sure, yeah.
So that if a man rapes you, he loses his dick instantly, forever. So
someone in chat. Sorry, go ahead.
That's it.
It's a bit of a meme question, but someone in chat wanted to ask you how your parents gave you autogynephilia.
By how I was treated and how I was treated as if I don't deserve love and care by default, parentified. And I think that big part of my parentification in combination with being an only child is me being a man. And if I was a woman, I would have been treated more like a child when in fact I was a child. Because being treated like a child when you're a child is good. And I think that a lot of young boys, their parents stop treating them like children.
Okay. So you believe that your parents made you autogynephilic by not treating you like a child, by giving you a lot more...
Well, I don't know, but specifically autogynephilic, but they made me resent being a man.
Okay.
And maybe that became embodied with autogynephilia. We're talking about the sexual aspect of it. But
so it's part of
that's my theory.
Your larger point that a lot of trans people just prefer the role of woman and a lot of the stuff that comes along with it.
Well, it's complicated. I think there's usually a sexual dimension because it is changing your sex.
Yeah, I would actually remark on that usually the way that it changes your sex doesn't support the idea that it would be like motivated by sexuality, because usually like transitioning will reduce your libido.
Being a woman is a sexual thing though.
I mean, partially to a lot of people, probably, because I think even with
sex is core to being a woman. Like if you are a woman, like the gender role of being a woman, your sexuality is very important.
I mean, yeah.
All these people want that pussy power. We call it pussy power for a reason.
Yeah, there is a lot of power in pussy. That's true, but also when it comes to like the motivation for transitioning,
you can kill a man with it. That's why all these women, they won't fucking sit down on my fucking, they won't, because they're afraid they're gonna suffocate. Fucking what the fuck?
Yeah, that is pretty true. But I would say that like in terms of seriously saying that transitioning is motivated by a sexual aspect, it seems pretty weak. Because I feel like most of the time, I'm saying
there's always going to be a sexual aspect. Sure, I don't know about like I'm saying that like I actually think that the sexual aspect might come from a non-sexual aspect though.
Oh, sure.
But I think there's always going to be. I think that if you're trans, part of it's going to make you horny. And I don't think that might not be like the root where that came from, but I think it's most likely going to be like some part of it that's like sexually exciting.
Okay. Yeah.
Because you're changing your sex.
I can buy into that mostly because I think most people are like to some degree autoerotic in the first place, like even you. Or sorry, you're a bad example. Even like an average person on the street, probably when they engage with sex, they're usually visualizing themselves to some degree.
Yeah, right on the street.
Not on the street, but like when they do have sex in private. But yeah, estrogen crushes your libido, which is one of those like negative health effects.
Yeah, I've gone on a few dates with females that have started taking testosterone, and the reason that they're going on the dates is because they're so horny, and it makes them extra horny, and it also makes them ramble about Dark Souls for like 2 hours, you know. So it's like, oh, this person is really like, you know, this person's really easy to talk to in a way that like a guy is, not like a woman. You know, they'll autistically ramble about Dark Souls for 2 hours, and then it's like, oh, I just started taking testosterone. That's why I'm ravenously hungry. It's why I'm ravenously horny. That's why I'm autistic about video games now.
Someone in chat just said something a bit, and you don't have to talk about it if you don't want to, but they said, this has been your bit for 3 years. They said you tried to destroy their ex for being a trans questioning femboy, and all it took was to shut. Yeah. Have you ever done that before?
Tried to destroy somebody?
Tried to, like, destroy someone for questioning being trans as a femboy.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay.
But if you think like I'm trying to, I have opinions, and if my opinions make you feel destroyed, that's not my problem. I'm not gonna, my channel is, I talk about my opinions, and you don't have to agree with me. And I'm not out here trying to like crush anybody. Like, I don't want you, Kira, right? I keep calling you trans jstlk in my mind. Okay, because cool. That's the first. Kyrie.
Yeah.
Okay,
it's Kara, to make it easier for you.
So I don't want you to. I was joking about gaslighting in the beginning. I don't actually want you to come out of this conversation like I want you to like, because if you just agreed with me, then all of a sudden like that would be bad for you, right? So I don't want you to. I don't want to crush you.
Okay.
You know?
I'm glad.
If you actually did come out of this conversation agreeing with me, it might set you down a path where you're like become like miserable and don't know what the fuck to, you know what I mean? Like, just be you.
I think honestly, if I agreed with you, I would probably just continue on the transition because I'm comfortable with it.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
But
and you know what? This is my position has been that, like, so if I were the king of the world and I was like a dictator, I wouldn't let people transition. But if you're already transitioning, I would make sure that you continue getting your hormones.
Yeah, that's respectable. But I would say that like you'd be leaving a huge hole for people like me before I started who felt like they couldn't really cope, you know?
Right. I would mandate like you'd get like a loving family or something.
I mean, without the transition, my family would have been very loving, yeah. But yeah, I hear you.
I think there's some thing that you weren't getting I think there's something you weren't getting in life that you feel like you have access to now. Moment.
The only thing, okay, I will give you this. My social existence has improved a lot. Outside of enjoying myself more as a person, I have more social capital, probably. Yeah. Like, people care what I have to say, or more people want to be friends with me on the face of it than before. That is true.
I don't, who said that I was trying to destroy them? I don't want to destroy anybody.
I don't know. They have like a not very obvious name in Kick Chat. But yeah, would you ever be open to other people arguing with you? Because a bunch of people want to potentially, you know?
Yeah. Let me destroy them.
Yeah, sure. Richie Harris really wants to. I don't know who they are in Discord, but okay, he's here actually. Hey there.
Oh,
hello.
Hello, can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right. Awesome. I've been listening. Hi, Smeth. How are you doing today?
He's a jolly fellow.
Awesome.
You familiar with Richard?
Yeah, I'm a good guy. So one thing I'd like to go back to, how did you define what is a woman again?
A woman is somebody that is treated a certain way because of their sex or their perceived sex.
Okay, so would you define a very well passing femboy as a woman then?
So I have different definitions of women that I use in different contexts.
Okay.
But by that one, when you say passing femboy, what do you mean?
Like, I don't know. Let's say they look a lot like a woman. They probably, on as far as just body.
Well, then they're not a femboy, right?
I've seen some pretty good passing femboys. I mean, and just for the sake of argument,
they look like a woman.
Yeah.
So the femboy label is just some secret thing they have to themselves, but everybody else sees them as a woman.
Yeah, let's say that.
Well, I would say there is like something under the hood there. They have a sense, usually their sense of sex or their internal gender is male. They feel like a guy. That would be the difference.
That's on the inside. I'm saying like everyone else like on the outside.
Sure.
If everyone treats you like a woman, and then in the gender sense, then you're a woman.
Okay. So then let's say that.
But I don't believe in gender as a thing.
Okay.
So I will concede when we're talking about what gender is, but I'm a gender abolitionist. So
No,
I just don't believe in gender.
Even if you're a gender abolitionist, you have to agree that there's a concept of gender.
Yes, I do. I have been doing that, but I don't respect it as like a fact or something. I think it is I see gender as like Christianity or like Islam. Like, fuck it.
Well, no, actually, if you're a gender abolitionist, you believe that there is like a social association that's...
Right. I believe that Christianity exists, but I don't respect it. So I believe that gender exists, I don't respect it.
I feel like a better analogy would be, I believe that patriarchy exists, but fuck, you know what? I give up on this analogy. Let's just continue.
So then I'm just a little confused then. Like, how would you define the biological definition of gender?
I don't think that gender is biological. I think gender is a social construct, just like Christianity is a social construct. And it's real in that, like, there are churches and people believe in Christianity, but I don't believe that, like, all women should wear dresses, and I don't believe that, women are like, like all these perceived differences in how we treat people based on our perception of them is just like, it's like, I think that we treat people different based on what race they are, and people of different races internalize that and they actually act different. But that's not because, like, I don't respect those differences. I don't think we should treat people different.
Right.
And so
how would you... Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Kari.
It's cool. I don't think a behavioral difference associated with race or culture is similar to gender, because I think, like, maybe this is getting to the point, really. I think gender is highly associated with sex, evidentially from...
Sex is more real than race, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
So there are some actual behavioral differences between males and females, but I just don't think... I don't agree with the expectations, and the expectations are what I would say gender is. I hate these conversations where we talk about gender. I think it's like it's to me, my experience of having these conversations is like when you are trying to talk about like a simple topic, like let's say that the Trump just got like shot at and like his ear gets hit, and then you have like somebody talking to you who like has a degree in philosophy, and they're like, well, what about the epistemological? And it's just a shut the, what do you fucking think? You know, and I feel like this gender stuff is like this hyper intellectualizing where you're creating like all these separations from reality just to have some hypothetical, and really in reality it is just a it is a heuristic that is based on sex.
Well, that's also a complete straw man you just did there. I mean, if we go back to...
I'm not saying you're doing that.
I know. But I mean, like, if we go back to talking about what, again, how... Okay, so then if you don't like the word gender, how would you describe differences in sex? Would you just describe them as XY, XX?
Differences in sex? That would be differences in sex.
Yep. Okay, cool. Just making sure we're on the same page there. All right.
Wait, something interesting, because you mentioned earlier leveling the playing field would essentially neutralize leveling, yes, would neutralize a lot of the expression of gender, because you believe that the sexes are not that essentially different when it comes to these behaviors, right?
They might be, I don't know how different they are. I don't know.
Okay, well, it seems like, and you probably heard this before, when you look at like Scandinavian countries or very like equitable countries where most fundamental rights are allowed, or socially like they're usually very egalitarian, it seems like they still have like a high expression of classic gender differences.
I think that I don't think people should be treated different or expect, or like, so it's like racial profiling. It like I can make assumptions about somebody based on the fact that they are a woman. And I can make assumptions on someone based on the fact they're black, and that might be helpful to me, but I don't think it's good to do.
Okay. I mean, I don't think it's just a sweeping kind of stereotype, though. I think it's actually borne out in how people act.
I think that gender. So if there are actual differences between the sexes, now we're talking about a sexual difference. And anything that is not an actual sexual difference is gender, and that means it's bullshit. If it's not an actual sexual difference. If it is not an actual sexual difference, then it is fictitious.
Well, okay. Let's say we have a group of people who are the color red, and if you have the color red, you are unable to jump. Or you don't want to jump. You just always never want to jump. Does that mean like the social performance of not wanting to jump is like a fictitious thing because it's not necessarily like a biological trait that you can map out?
Why do they not want to jump? Because they're red?
Let's say that is like the only possible. Yeah, let's say that is like it's highly associated with red for some reason. Like let's say because they're
associated,
red,
yeah, but so like there's an association between black people and crime. But that doesn't mean that
sure.
like I don't.
Let's stay on gender here.
I don't want to say black people are the crime race, and I don't want to
because yeah, sure. Because if you want to argue that like black people have an essential tie to committing crime because of the race, you just have to look at like people with similar genetics in different environments, and you would see that that's not borne out. But if you look at women in every country, especially countries where it's like very equitable, it seems like they have very similar gender performances. So it kind of flies in the face of that.
No, because I think it's complicated, because I think that the morphology, I do think there are differences. There are a lot more differences between the sexes than there are between the races, and I just don't think that we should have like I don't think that we should have expectations of either of them. So I just like I think you should treat everyone like as a person and not as like, so I think that every woman should be treated like a person and not like a woman. Sure, I don't like the idea of treating, I don't think men should be treated like men. I don't think women should be treated like women.
Okay, I would say when I'm interacting with someone on the street and they're a woman, I try to give them like an open breath to be their own person. Yes, I don't like discriminating even if something may be true. Yeah. But,
I try to talk to them like they are a fat, ugly. They're so like say that they are like a Discord kitten ooh woo. I try to talk to them like they look like Harvey Weinstein.
Sure, that's a good way to do it, I guess. Yeah.
Honestly, pretty based. Yeah.
Um,
Hello.
I would say though, when you do have like a very, it is real. It's an expression of something different though. It's not necessarily a physical trait, but it's like this social thing associated with a physical trait or your environmental conditioning. Usually, largely both, as seen in, yeah, whatever. Um, I would say that when you're looking at that, sometimes you're going to have situations where it's useful to see them as like fundamentally different. Like for example, like women will usually
Have periods.
usually not move toward no, like socially they'll not move towards like computer science as much, and it might be useful to intervene there,
But
even though it's not
why?
like a physical difference.
No, but why? Like, so that's the thing. That's the thing where was saying like I don't know so much. Yes, I do agree that there are differences, but with like the computer sciences thing, I think that like a big part of that is like so. I absolutely don't believe that males are genetically predispositioned to be dumber or smarter.
Yeah,
I
no,
think that they might be predispositioned to be more risk taking, but regardless of that predisposition, I think society has an extremely strong incentive for men to be more risk taking. And I think that yields outcomes of men becoming dumber people and in the end, or smarter people in the end. And I think that we have incentives set up so that women women don't end up homeless and stuff. It's easier for a woman to not take big risks. Becoming a software developer is a way higher risk life path. Like you might fail and then you become a homeless loser. And
Well,
women just take it like they have access to safety nets and stuff that men don't, and so they are more likely to take a middle of the road path, so they don't have to be geniuses and they just end up in the middle.
and
sure. I don't.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, go ahead.
Um, just to make sure that like I kind of understand where you're coming from here, if I could steelman your argument a little bit, if you were to phrase it as gender is a nature v nurture argument, right? You would lean way more towards we as women, as men, are exhibiting these behaviors because we are nurtured to exhibit them. So do I have that correct?
Yeah, but yes, but I would just caveat that I'm open to it being nature. But even if it's nature, I don't think we can prove unless we. I don't think you can prove nature in any other way other than to disprove nurture. And
yeah,
so I think we should just treat women the same as men. And like when I say that, like we don't.
well,
That's a faulty premise, I would say, to say
yeah.
that you have to disprove nurture entirely to say that there is a nature involved.
And we kind
How do you
of
prove?
can.
How do you?
How do you prove it? I think it's going to be impossible to have like a scientific like litmus test that makes it an entirely binary true thing. But I think when you have like
you can prove nurture.
Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
You can prove nurture though.
Okay. Well,
but you can't prove nature.
You can prove both, but like not in a very definitive way, just in a more qualitative way. Like for example,
you're gonna be looking at correlation every time there.
Yeah, when we look at this, like the studies of those Nordic countries where it's very equitable and like for all intents and purposes socially everything is basically equivalent, and you're kind of left with only like very essential things, and you still have this expression very differently in their behavior between men and women. I feel like that's like a big strong suggestion that like nature is a big part of it. Like that's a decent evidence for nature, even if it doesn't cancel out nurture.
Hello.
I don't agree. I don't agree that it's big strong evidence. I think that it is a like they're like that's just saying that the correlation is evidence, but we thought that women all wanted to be mothers, like 80 years ago, and that the most fulfilling thing for a woman is to stay home and take care of the kids, and that's true in all society, and that's what all women end up doing. And now we've done a lot more like nurture-based research and just observation, like socially, and like through changes in how we treat people, and talking about like postpartum depression, and just it's absolutely not the case that that's the most happy a woman's ever going to be.
That makes sense.
How much do you think genetics influence you, by the way? Because you understand that nature versus nurture is not really a great dynamic, right? Like, it sounds like you kind of grasp that, right? It's not really how we observe reality, right? Nature and nurture always work in tandem. Your genes, your genetics, coding and whatnot, and how it's expressed in its environment, your upbringing, your history, and the general direction that you're moving towards as like the pattern, the recreating pattern that you are, right?
Yeah.
Well, and part of the thing that I keep thinking about as far as the nature be nurture on that is, if it is mostly nurture-based, we wouldn't be seeing an uptick in transgenderism in opposite worldviews and opposite cultures. I mean, we're seeing it in Africa, we're seeing it in the Philippines, which has a much more gender-fluid worldview. If we were seeing it only when it's kind of brought out that these ideas of gender are isolated based on how a person is raised, how the culture they come up in, we wouldn't be seeing it in so many vastly different cultures.
Why are you guys arguing this? This is like, I don't know what we are arguing, because we're talking about abstract concepts and whether or not they are good frames of an analysis. But in the end of the day, they are all abstract concepts. They are all lenses to observe the world, and we're arguing about which ones we use. But at the end of the day, the thing that makes thing that makes us different here is, I just think that gender is a bad lens to use to analyze people.
You don't think there's any benefits, or do you think the benefits are outweighed? I think
sex is a good lens to use. There are some differences, and we can try to figure out what those are, but I think that gender roles are to be thrown away. I hate them.
Yeah, but I thought you said that you believed in the nurture more than the nature. Wouldn't that
No, I know. No, I don't believe in it. No, I don't believe in it more. I think that it is, you should focus on nurture more, because you can test for nurture by making changes, and you can't test for nature. As at any point in which you think you have nature hammered down, there's always more changes you can make to the environment to test for nurture even more.
Well, if you make changes to nurture, you can never control for nature, so you can't really test nature that well either.
With human psychology, it is an incredibly fluid thing. Like, we are designed to be like fluid psychologically.
Can I ask you a question?
What?
You're probably familiar with gay people, right? In general, that was a stupid question.
No.
But why do you think that there is like a pattern of behavior that's commonly observed, that like gay couples usually trend towards replicating the gender dynamic of like a more dominant and a more effeminate, and masculine versus feminine, dominant versus submissive, and all that stuff? What do you feel like there's?
What do I think about that?
Yeah.
I think that's interesting.
All right. Yeah, certainly an answer.
Yeah, that's interesting.
It is very interesting.
I don't like it.
You don't like it? Okay.
Why?
I don't know.
Does it make you feel like there's something unnecessarily restrictive there? Because they're both like one sex, and they occupy like gender roles that are typically associated with like a heterosexual relationship, basically.
Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da.
I'm gonna let him think he's pregnant pausing. He's charging up.
I lost it.
He lost it. No. Okay. Well, I mean, if it makes you uncomfortable, there's got to be a reason for it, because you're this gender abolitionist, right?
I just think
you
it's
believe that.
yeah, I just don't like it when well I think I think I don't like it for reasons that are not related to this conversation. I don't like it when when like gay men start like talking in a lisp just to signal that they're gay. Like, oh, I get it, like in a sense, because it helps you match up and like find sex, but I don't like I don't like it when you're like for most people your sexuality doesn't become a core part of your identity. And so I think that if you're acting a specific way because of your sexuality, I think that is a thing that society has done to you. Like I don't like anybody having to make their sexuality a core part of their whole social identity.
Sure.
So, if you believe that gender should be abolished, but people shouldn't express their sexuality based on society, how should someone express their sexuality and gender?
What?
So you believe that gender should be abolished, right? So we shouldn't have or treat anyone based on their gender, right? But if a gay person is acting more feminine based on how society wants them to act or how they think they should act to fit into that role, then, but you also don't like that.
I don't that's not related though.
It is.
That's why,
it is.
No.
I mean,
we're talking about
because-
my feelings.
well,
So it's not.
okay. Okay, so
Talking about a fucking straw man, asshole.
no, this isn't a straw man. This is just building off the argument that you just did.
Well, okay, well, it's
also,
not a
that
straw
was
man.
an
It's
ad
what you
hom.
did. Okay, well, what is it? It is a straw man.
A straw man would be.
You're telling me what I'm saying when it's not what I'm fucking saying.
It
That's
is
called
literally what you
fucking...
just said. And also,
Okay,
if you could
okay,
calm
what I
down
literally
for a
just
minute.
said is that it is the same thing. My feelings about gay men acting a specific way is the same
shit.
thing about as what? What is it the same thing as? What is it that I said it's the same thing as?
One more time?
You just told me that my feelings about gay men acting in typical gender roles is the same thing as something else. What was it that I said that it was the same thing as?
I wasn't saying that. I was saying that you, and also
You did.
no. Okay, so what I was saying was you said that
I need more
gender
people here to trigger him like
should be
that.
abolished, right? We shouldn't be treating people based off their gender. People shouldn't be acting based off their gender, right?
Well, abolish. I just don't like it. Yeah, it's bad.
Okay. It's bad. So people shouldn't have anything influencing how they act in regards to their own gender, right?
We shouldn't
But
treat. No, that's not what I
if
would
a
say.
man-
I would say that we shouldn't treat people different based on their gender,
Okay. We shouldn't
not
treat
how
people
they
different.
act. And so I don't think we should treat people different.
Okay. So we shouldn't treat people different based on how they act. But if a person acts a different way because they're in a gay relationship, you have a problem with that.
Yeah, I don't know. It could be for many different reasons. So I might not have a problem with it.
But you might. I mean, you might not, but also you would. Because you just said you would. You said you didn't like that.
Yeah, for a lot of different reasons that aren't related to the same conversation.
I think it is relating to the same conversation since it's gender acting how society expects against how society expects them to act. And you're saying you have a problem with how they act, but also you have a problem with anyone acting.
I don't have a
within their own
problem with
gender.
it. I don't have a problem
You just
with
said
it.
you had a problem with it.
I didn't just fucking say that. I said that I
did.
didn't like it. I said that I didn't.
A problem with it.
Okay. I'm done with you.
Oh my god, dude!
All right. He seems to be
You
upset
suck.
with Richard, so
Yeah,
You suck.
give Richard a turn
Richard
out for now.
sucks.
Richard is
Having a problem
typically-
with it is the same as not liking it. No, it's not.
Okay. Someone in chat mentioned that you used to be a femboy, and that's like super interesting to me. Do you want to
Yes.
talk about that?
I used to be a femboy.
Yeah, what was that like?
Yeah, I got a lot of sex from women that said that they were lesbians until they met me.
Wow. Wait, so how did you present?
I definitely didn't look like a woman.
Okay. So it was kind of just...
I was a lot skinnier, and I was a self-hating man, and I was very frail.
What would you say your fulfillment out of it was?
My fulfillment?
Yeah.
I was trying to be treated a certain way, and I wanted to, I just hated being a man, and I wanted to be a woman. So I settled for something in the middle.
Okay. So was that because you felt like you couldn't succeed at performing the role of women, or like trick people, quote unquote, in public?
I didn't believe that transitioning was a good option. I would have if I did.
Wait, so if you had a button that made like SRS and HRT instant and perfectly effective, you would have done it?
Yeah, I would have.
Do you still think you would have pushed that button?
If it was perfect, I would do it for fun, but I wouldn't. I want to be comfortable with who I am without having to push the button. And I think if I push the button, it won't magically make me comfortable with who I am.
But what if it did?
Well, then that would be a separate button.
I mean, if it did, you would have to accept that there is something physical there, right? If SRS and HRT worked to affirm you to the gender that you feel internally, there would have to be something.
Yeah, I think the only way for it to work would be, so I think that it wouldn't work, and then I think that if you had gave me another button that would make it work, I probably wouldn't push it.
Okay. Why?
Because I think it would make me dumber.
You would rather be tested.
I think that a button that just makes you complacent is bad.
Not making an analogy for any reason other than medical intervention here, but let's say you were schizophrenic and you knew that if you took medication you could be better, but you could really fight it and just kind of ignore your hallucinations. What would you prefer?
I would want to learn the coping mechanisms so that I didn't struggle. I don't know. I really don't know with that one. I really don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I might.
To me, yeah, sorry.
If it inhibits your ability to function, I don't know. I think society should make space for schizophrenic people so that they can be schizophrenic without feeling miserable. But if it just makes you scared all the time and so, like, you could be just so fucked up that you actually just like are broken.
Okay.
But I don't know. I think that's usually not the case, but I'm always going to fight. I'm always going to fight the drugs, but I'm open to them.
You're like principally opposed to medicating things with drugs, opposed to accepting yourself naturally. Do you think there's a reason for that, like overall? Because it seems like something that's cropped up a lot, like with the plastic surgery thing.
I just think it is good to accept yourself naturally, and that's what's healthy. I think that you will be the smartest and healthiest, and it's just the best. To be as you are naturally is the most healthy way to be, and I think for society to make you feel otherwise is wrong. For society to make you feel like there's something wrong with you. So that's why I'm saying with schizophrenia, if society is making you feel like there's something wrong with you when in fact you would be perfectly functional, just a little weird, you know what I mean? Then you shouldn't take make it society's problem. But if it's actually but if it's actually like you are like going to cause harm to other people, or you are going to cause harm to yourself, or you're going to be in severe distress constantly, then that's totally different. But if it's just that it makes you a weirdo, like, fuck it.
Okay. So someone in chat just asked, I was about to say, what if it's your problem? But they said something that kind of illustrates that. Do you think it's fine for someone to just be 600 pounds then?
No.
Why?
Because that's unhealthy. Sorry. It's like, I don't think it's fine to like rub feces in your eyes every day. I mean, like, you're free country, you know, do whatever you want, but I don't think it's good.
I mean, schizophrenia and I would say dysphoria is kind of, or having like an emergent property of dysphoria, that explaining your kind of existence as a trans person is an unhealthy thing that would warrant correcting as well.
I think that dysphoria is not. I'm not. I already established that I'm not on this trans medicalist thing. I don't think that dysphoria. I think that it may be very hard to get rid of. Like, I still have dysphoria, and I embody that so I have the either dysphoria or the underlying feelings that lead to the dysphoria, and I have resentment of the way that I'm treated because I'm a man, and I don't want to lash out at myself. I want to fight to be treated right, and I want to fight for everybody to be treated right. So I think that, like, if you're a weirdo with schizophrenia and it's actually not causing a problem for anybody or you, then you should be fighting for people to accept you. But if you're like killing, I don't know, you're fucking killing people, or like it's like an extreme. Not that schizophrenic people, because I've met plenty of schizophrenic people. They're just weird, and it might cause them some distress, and that's another issue. But if it isn't, then just if it's society that's making you feel distressed because you're weird, that's not that you're actually making your own distress. You know what I mean? That's you're surrounded by assholes.
Well, I would say that for schizophrenics, just like dysphorics or obese people, there's a bunch of issues that you have internally or privately that society doesn't have to enforce for it to be there. For example, a schizophrenic will feel a lot of distress a lot of the time because of their hallucinations, regardless of how other people respond to them. Or a trans person will sit at home in front of a mirror, regardless of who's talking to them, and feel the most miserable feelings known to man about your sense of self.
Yeah, schizophrenia can be something that is like a genetic condition.
Yeah,
I don't believe dysphoria is a medical, like, I don't think you are born to have like dysphoria.
Well, you don't have to be born with something for something to be an essential medical condition,
True.
e.g. obesity.
Well, however, we're in a sense you can say essential, but not essential as in from birth. But sure. But
essential to my mind, all that I'm saying when I'm saying essential.
So somebody who is obese, I think the solution is for them to, like, you know, it might be a really hard, painful road for them to become not obese. They're gonna have to change a lot of things about their whole lifestyle, and they're gonna have to do like painful, like they're gonna have to work hard, like spend time doing shit that other people don't have to spend time doing shit, and it's gonna be painful and excruciating, and they're gonna have to change their life. And so it's like a lot of things that they can change. Or you can just like have them like get like liposuction, and if they're gonna die, so this is where by my position with the drugs, like if they're gonna die, then give them the liposuction stat. But if that's not the case, because the people that just get the liposuction just get fat again. Look at Boogie. Like it's a time like old like story, age old story. So if they're not gonna die, then the real way to save their life is to like help them make big changes and go through that struggle.
Okay. I mean, I get what you're saying in a sense, that the net utility, it's kind of like teaching a man to fish versus giving him a fish, right? If they can nurture themselves to a place of better health, it's probably better for them overall. Sure. But I think regardless of how you get there, the thing that I'm arguing is that there's an issue there that you have to address regardless of society's input. Like an obese person can get a liposuction or work it off, but regardless of what other people say around them, there's something there that they want to address for very real reasons.
Yeah, same. It's like a obese person wants to not be obese, maybe, or I don't understand. Like, yeah, I understand. Trans people have dysphoria.
Yeah, but then you also seem to say that because it's not there at birth necessarily, which that means that it's not something you have to deal with as long as society shifts sufficiently. Hence the gender abolitionist take. So you don't really believe
If it's
in
not there
dysphoria
from
as,
birth,
like,
so it's like kind of like the makeup thing. So it's like, let's say that it's there permanently and it's not there from birth, but by all practical means, it's almost going to be there for the rest of your life. I'm probably going to have like the type of resentment that I've talked about for the rest of my life. But so I think that, so you're a woman and you feel ugly without makeup and you're going to feel that way for the rest of your life. I don't care. I still think you shouldn't wear the makeup and you should feel ugly because it makes everyone else uglier. So I think that for every trans person that transitions, it makes it worse for all the other trans people. It makes it so that they have to transition that much more to feel like they can accept themselves.
I mean, for you to even make that analogy, you'd have to agree that, like, people... Okay, the issue that I have with that analogy is it's basically asserting that, like, because a trans person performed the role of woman better, it made someone more dysphoric. Whereas I think dysphoria is more of a binary experience that you either have or you don't have, based on whatever seems to trigger it. Based on this, like, incongruence between your sex and your internal sense of sex or gender. I feel like we're
starting to glaze over because
little.
I'm thinking about, my mind is drifting elsewhere.
Yeah.
Okay. Like, so these gender conversations always end up making me start to glaze over because,
yeah,
like, I think I made it clear, like, what I think.
Yeah, I think, like, the fundamental issue is I have to address it factually, because if you don't believe that it's, like, an essential condition, then all of it's a moot point. If you believe that it's all just kind of a result of, like, social stigma or, like, construction.
No, that's not what that's not even the point that we're, like, at. Like, I think that even if it's never going to go away, it's better to not transition, because the next person that has that same feeling, if they see the people with those feelings all transitioning, now for them to not transition is going to be that much worse. And I think, like, I think that wearing makeup makes every woman uglier. I think that transitioning makes everyone else's dysphoria worse.
I mean, comparatively, like, I guess there are, like, okay, let me try to think of an analogy. I guess for obese people, technically, in that sense, reducing your weight as an obese person kind of makes it harder for everyone in the class of, like, obese person to cope if it's seen as,
I don't think they should cope, though. They should reduce their weight because they're going to die.
Trans people should cope. I think they should transition because they're always going to feel like shit.
I know, but I do.
Why would you think that they should cope, though? If you agree
because it's not like being obese, you're not going to die.
Well,
like, I just think that you hate yourself, and we all hate ourselves, and maybe you hate yourself a lot more than most people hate themselves. And, like, when I say yourself, I mean your body, like how people are treated you, whatever combination of those that leads to these things. But I just think that, like yeah, we all hate ourselves, and maybe you hate yourself more than everyone else. And I think that if your response to that is to to change yourself, it makes everyone's self-hatred more of an issue, because now we all think that the solution to ourselves hating ourselves is there's no out. There's no out. You can't escape hating yourself.
I mean, you're basically, again, you seem to be arguing from this place of like, for the average human, self-acceptance is better than being like highly scrutinized and like
obviously right.
body dysmorphic. But I would say that there's a different character here where it's not just a distaste for yourself or something that you can come over with confidence. I would say even the most confident, well-adjusted person.
But you're not getting. I'm saying that even if you can't ever get over it, it's better. You're better off just like accepting your own self, but your own negative feelings without that. Like, okay. I'm not saying the confidence will make it go away. I'm saying you're gonna live with it until you die. I don't think that life is a rosy thing. I think it's like a miserable thing, and where we are. Life only gets worse and worse and worse until the day that you die. Okay. And so like,
yeah, it's a little consistent with the take about schizophrenia, because you said that you should fight the schizophrenia instead of minimizing your pain there. But why would you be okay with like an obese person going from obese to like not obese?
Because like, so I'm not okay with them getting the liposuction unless it's a life or death situation. What I'm saying, like, making healthy lifestyle choices is good. And I just don't think that transitioning is a healthy lifestyle choice. Okay. Because you're changing. It might yield healthy outcomes for you, but it's just like, but that's because of society. Like, the reason that becoming skinnier will yield healthy outcomes, like when you're obese, if becoming fit will yield healthy outcomes, not because of how society treats you, but because your body will be healthier and you'll live longer.
Okay, that's exactly the disagreement though, because you basically just said what I said before, which is your belief is dysphoria is only caused by society, and I would say it is identical to obesity in the sense that it's caused by something physical.
Right. Okay, then we do disagree on that.
Yeah, and it also flies in the face of what you said about schizophrenia, because why would the schizophrenic not be able to get care for that if it is like a physical condition for them as well?
Well, I'm saying if it is not causing them any problems other than them just being a weirdo that people don't like, I don't think anybody should have to take pills so that they stop being a weirdo that people don't like.
Yeah, but the issue isn't, it's not just that you're upsetting other people, it's that even if you're in a void only interacting with yourself.
In that case, take it. Yeah.
Okay, well, that is essentially my take with trans people. Regardless of people around you, there's an essential pain there that only seems to go away from transitioning. Or is mitigated at least by transitioning.
Right.
Okay.
I don't think that it should be mitigated. I think that you gotta.
But why?
So sometimes I will be like, I used to do a lot of like weed edibles, and I did them for fun.
Pause for a sec. Someone wants to join. Do you mind me pulling in Raylan?
Go ahead, but. Look, I might fucking snap again.
Okay, it's cool. It's cool because we're circling a lot. It's better to have fresh perspectives.
Hey, Raylan.
Raylan, you're on the stand. Go. Maybe they're AFK.
No.
Okay, you're cool. Quiet as fuck.
I'll turn them up.
Is it better now?
You're still too. I still barely can hear you.
I might need to change my input on my. Sorry.
Is it really better?
I mean, I can turn up the gain for Discord as well.
I did that already, but.
Okay, let's see if it's any.
That's better.
That's better. Good job.
Okay. Thank you. I'm so sorry.
Now it's worse. Cool. Get back closer to your mic.
Oh. Yeah.
There you go. Perfect. All right, lay it on me. Let me have it.
Okay. So, as someone just came out of rehab and was recently like diagnosed with an STD because of it, because of afterwards in some like a bad spiral. Where do you think the difference between like socially acceptability within the gay community and like sort of the normalization of it would come from?
I'm sorry, you might have to be clear on that again.
What are you saying? You have? It sounds like you have an opinion here. What do you think about it?
I because I was listening to earlier about that one guy had to kick who was talking about like masculinity and femininity within
right,
gay culture. So I was gonna about
I'm gonna wait.
normalization.
I got really
Like-
snap triggered there, and I stand by it. But also, I'm an asshole.
Yeah, totally. I get it. I was more calling in about like bug chaser culture technically within the gay community and how like that and like everyone's stance on that end.
Bug chasing.
Like people who specifically try to get like STDs or
Yeah.
spread STDs. Yeah.
That's not unhealthy. That's unhealthy.
No bueno.
Yeah, I can see how. Like,
But I
it's
can-
sort of.
I can see what's sexy
It's-
about it, though.
Yeah, what was it? There was that guy who made like a whole documentary about like being a known bug chaser and like when, like a few years back. But still, you do kind of see it being normalized within some end of the gay community, and it's sort of, I don't know. Like, I don't think people within the gay community are having safe enough sex still, if that is still like a popular kink or fetish within it.
Even if it isn't, but yeah, it being there makes it a lot more dangerous for gay people. I would assume, yeah. That's I would be pissed if I was gay. That's like, dude, fuck, you're making it worse. You're making it fucking worse. Take the prep. Take the prep.
People specifically have like a social faux pas around asking if you have AIDS now. I've heard that's a thing in progressive circles.
If you got AIDS or HIV, you've got a responsibility.
Yeah, it's a pretty big deal. Even you can medicate it nowadays.
Like, I understand, like, so, and like, it really does suck because as somebody who doesn't have HIV, I understand that it might be true that me having sex with somebody with HIV might not, and they take like a drug and everything, and I'll be safe and I won't get it from them. But if you tell me, I'm gonna shit my pants. Like, we're on a date and I'm like expecting to be fucking you later. It's going well. And you're expecting it too, and so you tell me, I'm gonna actually like physically get like shivers down my spine. I'm just gonna start panicking because it's scary, right? And so that would be awful to have to live. You just want to fuck me, and I'm gonna be horrified, and that's awful. But
yeah. Raylan, anything else?
Bug chasers, you're all being assholes. You're making it worse. I feel you.
Okay, I think we've mostly for our argument we've drilled to a point where I'm trying to see if, because I do believe that our critical disagreement and why we can't really progress is the factual understanding of what dysphoria is. Because if you saw it as a physical condition identical to obesity, you would have the same take as me.
Yeah, but I don't.
Yeah, so that's why, like, if
Well-
the arguments to be, yeah, sorry.
Well, it is. I think that theoretically you could do the work and stop being dysphoric. But
Sure.
but unlike obesity, there's no guarantees at all.
What basis do you have for
I
people
was-
doing the work? And sorry, Rylan.
No, it's fine. I was calling in about the whole chasing thing because
It's cool.
I recently did have like an experience with it last month and didn't know for like a month on end that an ex-partner did end up testing positive for it. So that's why I was calling in to like get everyone else's thoughts about it.
Okay. You know, actually, instead of arguing about this, if we've reached a point where I would have to autistically go through studies to demonstrate you,
There's nothing you can do.
demonstrate it to you.
There's nothing you can do. You can't save me.
Yeah, I think honestly I'm interested in talking to you about the Destiny report and like what you think happened there.
Oh God.
But it's up to you.
I think that Max bit off way more than he can chew. And I think that a lot more people promised to follow through and then didn't. And I don't think he only had like a couple, like most of it was the Anna thing in the lab thing, but the real meat of it was the Anna thing. That was like the Anna part's serious. Like it's like, how can you read that and not be like Jesus? But
Sorry, Emery wants to join. Do you mind if I?
God damn
pull
it,
him
dude.
in?
God fucking
Okay.
damn it. Okay,
Cool.
I know Emery. He's a fucking let this fucking knucklehead in here.
Okay.
Hey,
I have like the Mr. Girl Orbiter gathering here.
Oh, wait.
is Emery, are you a Mr. Girl Orbiter?
Hold on. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can hear you.
I had you pre-turned down from a previous fucking VC.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I did.
Why is
How do you feel about that?
You were saying
you know,
about
I wouldn't
the-
be surprised.
Mhm.
Smeth, this is my schizo theory about you.
Okay.
Want to
let's
hear
hear
my
it.
schizo theory?
Absolutely.
Probably 100% not true. But hear me out. I think you're projecting all of your dysphoria, all your trans dysphoria. You found a way to project it onto something else completely. And so now you're trying to become not a woman, but the closest thing you can be to Mr. Girl. How's that
I
sound?
thought you were gonna say a bitch, not a woman, but a bitch.
No, what? No.
No,
We
no,
love
no.
women here.
I think I'm actually no, I'm trying to I get freaked out when I do things and I'm like because I was a nude model before I ever knew about Mr. Girl, and I hate
don't
my
believe
job.
I don't believe
You-
you when you
you
say that. I
don't-
mean, it's
you don't
probably
bel-
true, but
you don't believe me, but
you
it's
notice
probably
how
true?
everything aligns with. I relate with Mr. Girl this way, this way, this way, this way, this way. You emulate almost everything.
I don't
every single,
emulate though. Well,
Yeah,
I guess there are
a
some ways
lot.
to emulate.
which is fine, but it gets to a point where everyone starts to call you, wow, like this guy is just trying to be Mr. Girl, the closest thing, and it becomes
I'm not
pathetic.
trying to be Mr. Girl.
I don't believe you.
Do you
Okay.
guys mind if I pull in Yuki, by the way?
Yeah,
You can
absolutely,
come in. That's fine.
absolutely.
Okay,
I
cool.
love Yuki. It's another pal. Yuki, more like
okay, for instance,
yucky.
Why are you trying to be Jewish?
Why am I trying to be Jewish?
Yo,
'Cause
what's
I've-
up, Smeth? Do I still need to make the
Hey
Smeth
there.
report?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Okay, I'll get right back on that.
All right.
Anyways, I just have one question.
All right.
So
Why are you Jewish?
I don't know, cause my fucking dad was.
Oh,
Why are
That's
you
a really
Jewish?
fucking stupid question. Why are you Jewish? Is it because Mr. Girl's Jewish?
It's because my name is Seth and I look like a Jew. I look like
Yeah,
You're
no
a
one believes
goddamn
that.
Greek.
No one believes that.
people actually
You're
treat
fucking-
me.
No.
You're Greek.
Yeah, I know.
You
I
are
am.
Greek.
Go ahead.
I
Hell.
am Greek. I am Greek.
Yeah, your fucking last name is mega Greek.
I know.
Yes, I know. Anyways, I just had one question. So HRT helps alleviate dysphoria, right? Or did you guys agree on that, disagree on that? What's the consensus among the scientific group of geniuses?
Well,
From
What
what
is-
I've seen, it helps. I don't know too much information. I'd be portraying myself in a negative light if I portrayed as definitively this is the case that it helps. But what I've heard and seen, yeah.
So I it depends. This is like this is why these types of conversations. I'm sorry to, but this is why these conversations really exhaust the shit out of me and make me glaze over. Because when you say alleviate dysphoria, I know you're just gonna ask a simple question. I'm giving you a big thing, but when you say alleviate dysphoria, it depends on how you fucking define these things. Because so like I would say, like, if you are afraid that people are gang stalking you, and like I tell you that, like, it's true, they're gang stalking you, that'll like make you, I don't think it alleviates the fact that you think people are gang stalking you. You still, the fact that you're on HRT means that you definitionally still have dysphoria. In my opinion.
Everyone's aware that the dysphoria never goes away. You know that, right? Like,
Right. Yeah,
doesn't
that's
make
what I'm
it go
saying.
away.
That's what I'm saying.
All it does is alleviate it to the best of its abilities. Yeah, like you're still probably going to have like a lot of problems societally speaking. A lot of people are going to treat you like shit. You're probably still going to be suicidal for like multiple different reasons, especially if you're going through transition and it's a rough transition.
I think
There's a
it
lot
could
of,
only.
there's a lot
I
of
think
things.
it could only ever make it worse.
First of all, gang stalking's real. If you're listening, you are being gang stalked. People are gang stalking you right now. They're outside your house. They're watching you every single time.
I think when
Every
you say
customer you interact with, they're
I think when
actually
you say it
gang
can only make
stalkers.
it worse, you think that, but you don't know that. And when somebody tells you, "Hey, my transition, it actually alleviated, it helped," you ignore that. You do realize that, Smeth. You ignore when people say the opposite of what you think.
Actually, I'm gonna side with Smeth here.
Ignore.
I think it makes it worse. I think it makes it worse because if you look at the majority of what openly trans people post on the internet, it's always talking about how they look incredibly gross and they look like a man and their shoulder to hip ratio is not a fucking Da Vinci painting and they don't look like what pops up on their Instagram feed and they'll never be a woman, blah, 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 blah.
Sure, I
So,
don't like
I'm
alleviate. It's different.
It makes
from,
you-
like,
it makes you
getting rid of
focus.
dysphoria, you know?
Brain.
Like, I'm not sitting here saying like
I think
there
it
is
makes you
no-
focus. I think it makes you focus on your.
hyperfixate.
Whoa.
Yes, it makes you
whoa.
focus on your body more, and so I
One
think
at a
like
time.
we were doing. This was like, you know, when you have like this was like a cacophony. This was a symphony of voices. This was a thing.
Yeah.
God spoke and the choir sang. Smeth's right. HRT makes you hyperfixate on your body. It makes you go, holy shit, my shoulders are bigger than my hips. I need to fix
they're
that. I
already
need to get fat
hyperfixated
first.
on their body before even taking our HRT. So it's not like
If
it's
you
like a
could live,
big
if you could
meaningful
live until
change.
like the age, if you could live until the age of 30 and not have hyperfixated on your body, like realistically, you don't need estrogen. Buy a goddamn boat.
Okay, I got a hot take since Yuki's here and Yuki's like always shitting out hot takes and shit. Okay, I think a lot of the argumentation in favor of trans people is because people want to fuck trans people, and so we want to have
true.
we want to
100%
have
true.
more trans people so we could fuck them.
The actual hot take here is that older trans people want younger trans people so they could fuck them. That's why they push for younger and younger transition ages.
Well, we need to make our laws exactly identical to Thailand so that we can have ladyboys.
Actually, wait, I want to spice up the conversation here. Why do you think there's so many trans people that are into lolicon? Or that are pedophiles?
Oh,
There's a
God.
lot of straight white men that are into lolicons and into Shota or gay
Yeah,
weirdos.
there's.
I mean, we can say this about like literally anything.
Well, yeah, but why
Um,
is it always somebody on the internet getting exposed for that shit? And they're always like,
Because a lot of people on the internet that are hyper
I don't
in
even
these
care. that
spaces
people-
with young people, they're fucking weirdos and tend to be groomers.
I don't care if people are
True.
into lolicon and Shota. I don't care.
I care.
I'm
See,
agree.
me and
I agree
Carrie
with
best
that.
friends.
I
We
agree with
both had
Destiny.
to-
I agree with
We
Destiny.
both had to say that immediately just to make sure.
I agree with Destiny here. It's just drawings.
Wow,
I know.
bold of you.
That's a wild take.
Yeah.
Wow, that's like the most amazing, unique take I've ever heard in my life.
Gotcha.
School shooters
I
are
also
they're just
Gotcha.
words. They're
I
just
also
letters.
agree with
Anything
this
else?
amazing, unique take I'd never heard in my life by anyone.
Yeah, instructions on how to make bombs. They're just words.
There is substance to what he said a little while ago, where he was like, trans people, the issues are only usually a consideration from a lot of people because they want to fuck them. Unironically, a lot of support is literally just for like the top 1% most passable, like Twitter trans girls.
Yeah, if you look, they're always like, oh my god, like you'll never see somebody sitting there being like, yes, queen, to like somebody who's like 35, over the hill, has a fucking beer belly, all this other shit. It's always
Yeah,
going to
and
be fixation
yeah.
on like craftage because they want
Yeah.
to fuck craftage.
Mhm.
They don't want to be the beer
Yeah.
belly bitch.
There's like actual social value there. There's sympathy for them. But if you're like someone who looks like a man, which is most trans people, realistically, no one really cares about you.
You know, being a DGGer is like being trans. You're trying to transition into becoming a Destiny debate lord.
Yeah, a little.
Tends to be
Smeth
the
was
case.
saying earlier. Sorry.
No, I was just saying it tends to be the case. You try to pick up the language. You try to emulate every argument. You know, you get obsessed with all the topics that Destiny does. You want to be him. Every DGG
Yeah.
wants to be him deep down.
You know what?
Transition into a short little manlet.
Somebody who is a fan of Destiny but has a minor disagreement is transitioning into being Mr. Girl. Because eventually the community will chew you and spit you out and call you an anti-fan.
Mhm.
So
And Forethought will ban you and pretend to be Elle from the horrible Netflix movie because he's black and sounds retarded. Any input, Seth?
Yeah, I was gonna say though, it seemed I almost said Spin Boy. He's in my head. It seems like Smeth
I remember
earlier-
Spin Boy. I remember
yeah,
him.
He's in my head. He's shitting on. He's actually there.
Of course he
But I
is.
was gonna say, it seems like Smith earlier was suggesting that a lot of people transition just for like the social capital or like the benefits outside of transitioning. But I feel like when you look at most people who transition, their lives are on paper usually worse. You're only looking at like attractive trans women if you want to say that there's like a
Also,
boost there.
Smith, are you ready?
Well, yeah, most who
you
transition
ever-
just look like they're fucking 17 forever.
If you ever transition,
Yeah.
Smith, are you ready for like the various harassment, the sexual harassment, the groping? Are you ready for all that?
Oh yeah.
in my
Yeah.
fucking Twitter tweets right now, I have a tweet calling Seth a hun right now. It's ready to go.
Oh yeah, I because you know what comes with that, oh man, the rage baiting I could do, and and I can start an OnlyFans, and oh man, how much money for that fucking butthole? Oh god, yeah.
Bro,
You ready
I've seen
for
your
the
butthole.
time when
used
you
to post it for free on
finally get
Twitter.
assaulted, and then you put out that twit longer telling your story, and like literally no one believes you? That'd be fucking based. That'd be so great. A great
Oh yeah,
experience.
but then I'll go viral, and then all of DGG will pile on me, and
They'll stand up and clap.
yeah.
Actually,
All right.
no. Smeth could make a killing out of transitioning and then just rage baiting after every time he gets called sir by a
Mhm.
customer. He could be
Well,
retail Lily Tino.
I want you to know I accept you as the young, beautiful woman that you are. I don't accept you as this. You're a degenerate Mr. Girl wannabe, and it's disgusting to me.
why would I want to be
heal.
him though?
Max
I hope you
molested his
heal.
soul.
Transition for your own health at this point. You're disturbing me. I'd rather have a trans freak in your eyes.
I agree with him though. I agree with you though, because like if I were to be like Max, my life would be like, like
it already is like Max. Nobody respects you. Nobody takes you seriously. You are a delusional freak in the eyes of many.
I don't think that's true.
Why did you do this to yourself, Smith?
I don't think that's true.
Was the transition worth it? Do you feel comfortable in your own body?
Dead on YouTube?
Yeah, that's
I stream like once a week. So for what I do, I'm pretty good. Why are you guys just shitting on me?
Why not? It's fun.
What is this, a roast?
Yes.
The roast of Smith.
I say this with love, Smith. I don't say this with hate. I say this with love.
Here's the thing. Smith is a great guy. Smith is one who helped me out with a lot of issues, a lot of bad things in life. But I will say, the world would probably be better off if Smith figured out if he wanted to be fucking Mr. Girl or Charles from MDE.
Who's Charles?
Pick a fucking side.
I don't know. No, that's the thing. That I'm me, and I am not like. That's why you're seeing differences between me and Mr.
You are not
Girl.
you until you transition, Smith. I'm trying to brainwash you now. Do it.
I am different from Mr.
You're different in the sense of like what your facial hair's different. He's more olive.
I don't care about a lot of the shit that he cares about.
I don't believe you.
Yeah, you don't give a shit about black holes, but like you give a shit about like the commentary and everything else.
No, like I Mr. Girl would never like do anything that Sam Hyde has ever done, and I would.
I don't believe you. See, right now I'm copying Mr. Girl by doing the I don't believe you thing.
Is this permission to use your photo next time there's like a mass tragedy and I could say that you're the one responsible?
That actually would be funny.
I don't know.
But you just said that you'd do something that Sam Hyde would do. So like next
that would
massive...
be you doing it.
Yeah, but he encourages the meme. That's why it's called Can't Stop Getting Away with It Productions.
I don't know.
Smith, would you say you love yourself?
Yeah.
Would you say you would love yourself more if you were a woman?
That didn't sound enthusiastic.
No. I hate myself.
That's at least more honest. All right.
Yeah, true.
I'm sorry that that's the case. I'm not even trying to meme right now. Sorry.
Actually, wait, I have a question. Smith, why do you think people are gay?
Well, because I exist.
Okay.
What do you fucking want me to fucking say?
All right, the content's dissolved. We're out. Okay, continue on. We're ruining it now.
You guys have
Yuki
fun.
might be able to salvage us, but I'm done.
Are they gay because they want to fuck men and suck dicks and get fucked in the ass?
Thank you for your time.
I thought your take was that it's because they're molested when they were kids.
No, that's not my take.
Okay. Never mind.
I could go gay if I wanted to.
I mean, you used to on Twitter, yeah.
Hi.
That's not gay. That's just.
Hello, Legacy.
How are you guys doing? How's stream?
What's up?
It's pretty good.
Your voice sounds like jstlk. Are you not trans jstlk?
No, I'm not. I'm cisgendered jstlk because
cisgendered jstlk, yeah.
I don't want to say anything about what he is, but I'm cisgendered jstlk. I am curious. 2 years ago, you had a conversation with my boyfriend, Will Allen.
Oh, shit.
And you seem to have like an opposite position that you have now on gender versus sex.
Sure. What was it?
Sure.
What was it?
I did look it up a minute ago. You said overall, emotionally and psychologically, I think the sexes are the same overall.
Yeah,
It made it seem like on this stream that you have like that you think there's like a distinct difference.
Yeah, I've moved more towards being more comfortable admitting that. Like I feel like we're men and males and females are more similar than we believe, but there are obviously differences. But I just don't really know where they are.
Well, I think that's still consistent with what you said then, because you said like the biggest differences were hormonal. When you see women take testosterone, you do see very like male characteristics start to pop up.
Yeah, I think that's true.
Okay. So you're just like wording it differently now?
I guess. I'm just
okay.
Time's passed. I'm
just curious.
I don't know, really. Like, are you the one? So, what, Kyrie?
Yeah.
What you said that someone said in your chat actually like really freaked me out earlier. Like, is this a person? Like, so, like, are you actually like accusing me of like trying to like crush Will or something? Like, I don't.
No. It just seemed in the conversation like you do the thing where you're pretty antagonistic. Like, I think I worded it poorly in the chat where it made it sound like you were trying to, like I said, quote unquote, destroy. But Kari didn't say that I put it in quotes. Like,
oh, okay. Well, yeah. Okay.
Sorry.
Like during the conversation, you were like trying to like you do what you.
I'm almost kind of disappointed. I almost wish that you actually were saying that I was trying to destroy Will, because that'd been pretty entertaining. But I'm glad that that's
no. It was during the conversation.
God, I
not
wish
like anything
more.
outside of the conversation.
Yeah.
Do you mind if I invite Cool Kid?
Go ahead.
He's probably going to ask a stupid question.
I just saw that you were getting interviewed, and I realized, I was like, oh my God. Or that you were interviewing Kari, and I was like, oh my God.
I don't know what the
interviewed
fuck
my ex.
And every time I ever talk to a fucking trans person, it turns into the same fucking conversation. Okay?
Yeah. We are all the same.
Oh, you all want to talk about the trans thing, at least with me.
Yeah, because you have like very like inflammatory takes on the trans thing, or not even inflammatory takes necessarily. Your verbiage is incredibly inflammatory.
Probably,
Plus, he's a self-professed autogynephile. How can you not pass that up?
Well, all that came to my mind when I saw you on here was, I forget what it was, and if you don't want to talk about it, that's fine. But all I remember beyond the conversation you had with my ex was a painting video that you made.
Oh, with my dick.
Yeah.
We never actually discussed the autogynephile thing at all.
We can get into that. That's fun.
There's some people have seen a video of me like as like a twink kind of like doing a painting on a hard canvas using my dick as a paintbrush.
Someone just sent me a picture. Jesus Christ, Hillary Clinton has a huge ass. But,
what the fuck?
I just got hugely distracted.
I'm still with her, by the way.
Yeah, me too. But,
no, you guys don't unironically like. We don't have to talk about this. Never mind.
No, it's cool.
Hillary Clinton sucks.
What was your question?
Yo.
All right, yo.
I wanted to ask Scuffed Mr. Girl's opinion on the DDoS kid. I was skimming through your video of the Destiny report, and it seemed like you disagreed with him. Why?
Can you move closer to Mike and try talking?
I can try, yeah. Hello?
Okay, that's better. That's better. Yeah, I think I think that it's I don't have any problem with Destiny or anybody talking about wanting to kill the DDoS kid. Like that's who wouldn't want to. But the fact that he said he was actually making plans is like.
Do you think he was really going to act on those, or do you think they were just threats?
I think he was. I think that he made plans in secret and then talked about it afterwards. It wasn't even a threat. It was I had secretly planned on going out with this, and I decided that I was making too much money, so that it wasn't worth it anymore, and I would have done it if I didn't decide otherwise.
I feel like that's major speculation. into it.
That's
like,
what he
I know that
said.
he was talking
I feel
about
like
going
Smeth's
to the
making
kid's
Destiny
house.
sound way cooler.
Sorry, I heard that from what I heard, as far as like Destiny's own words, okay, he was talking about wanting to go to the kid's house.
He said he
But I
planned it
don't-
out and he mapped out streets and everything. He had a gun and he mapped out streets.
Okay, if that's true, then I don't remember hearing that. Did he?
He did say that, yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, then I have nothing to say about that. That sounds pretty fucked up.
But maybe maybe he was just being like edgy and he wasn't actually planning, but he said that he was planning, and
He did say it. But if he did it, would you have had a problem with it?
if he
If
actually
he killed the
DDoS
child,
Yeah, if he killed this kid, okay?
yes.
Would you have a problem with it?
yeah, it would.
Okay, say he couldn't figure out a way to stop him, and it was his only thing left to do. You would have a problem with him taking this kid out?
Say it was a stand your ground situation.
No, yeah, like, you don't like. I don't think there's a, like you're never completely out of. So, like, Destiny with like having like a big platform, like you just scream like a fucking banshee, like about it, like ask for like he eventually he came up with a way to. He eventually came up with a way to like stop DDoS attacks, right?
He did.
But
it was barely.
But so like just so you're also in your hypothetical, you're also saying that in this hypothetical, theoretically, it would be impossible to do anything about, but it wasn't impossible. So
I'm saying in a world where like because this world could have happened, this extreme could have happened. In a world where Destiny just wasn't technical enough to figure it out.
So, okay, let's say that you are like, so an analogy, an analogous situation would be that you are a person who, you're an edge case. I can't think of an exact example off the top of my head, but let's just say that the laws of society that are good for society just don't work for you, and it's ruined your life in somehow. You're an edge case, you've fallen through the cracks, and the government has ruined your life. Mm-hmm. Maybe the tax code of where you live, and like they've taken all your money or something. Okay, and you could just take a gun and go down to the fucking Capitol and mow everybody down. But even if there's nothing you can do, I still don't support that.
Seth, I have a question. Let's say that there's a kid who's stopping you from getting in your car every single morning so you could go to your fucking job every single morning.
Slashing your tires, for example.
Slashing the tires, putting glue in the fucking car locks.
What
everything.
would I do? I would set up a camera. I would definitely set up a camera, and I would get the cops involved.
And what if the cop said, that's cool, we can't do anything?
Evidence.
What if you're a black guy and the cops say it doesn't? Well, we don't really see anything.
Yeah,
that sounds like
playing pranks.
Scenario.
That would be like a great YouTube video, wouldn't it?
What if this was before?
But the YouTube video still doesn't do anything about you getting to your job.
Well, then I'd worry about it after I finish the YouTube video.
And what if he does a balloons-esque situation where he lays down spike traps outside of your house every day?
What if the kid makes a tweet longer about you?
Like,
and
there's
says,
always like,
by the way, this guy's a child molester.
If you keep like putting things like there's like if you get to the point where like someone is like literally like torturing my like body with like glass shards in my dick and shit, there's a point where I'm just gonna kill somebody, like anybody would.
Let's say he's Michael Brown and you're whatever his name was. In that situation, in this situation,
was that the Zimmerman one?
Yeah, let's say he's Michael Brown and you're George Zimmerman. What would you do?
If I was George Zimmerman, I wouldn't kill Michael Brown.
Why not?
Skittles looks very, very much like a weapon.
I don't know. Maybe I would have. Maybe I would have been scared. I don't know. I don't know. I don't think I would. Yeah.
Okay, I think we're clowning too hard.
That's true.
So, what do you think? What can the person who's getting cucked over in the situation do in your world? Like, what is?
Well, you're saying you're trying. You guys are coming up with hypotheticals in which there's nothing you can do, but there were things that he could do, and he did.
I'm pretty sure he tried all of them, and he got to the point where him not finding that last step. I think it was it something was leaking his IP? What was it?
They were like they were DDoSing him.
Yeah, they were DDoSing
Skype was leaking his IP every time he'd make a call. Yeah,
right. And so in that specific situation, I think how it played out was fine, and he should not have said that he was going to go kill that kid if he had to. But if this was like 3 years previous to that, I'm not sure if there was enough stuff he could have done to prevent that. Yeah, that was a good point in time for Destiny to be able to handle that situation.
I just don't think murder is a good solution to that.
Didn't the FBI interview him and be like, "What the fuck is a Skype?"
Yes, even the FBI came out and they couldn't do anything about it.
Yeah, but
it's not our problem.
But didn't murder.
The issue is that entire situation was fixed by Destiny doing research, and to this day, you can't do anything like that to anyone unless you have an incredible amount of resources. So, if somebody were to try to DDoS you today, that's like an easy fix. You can figure that shit out with no problem. It was just a specific point in time where that specific attack worked.
Well, and I guess then maybe at that point in time, murder's perfectly good. Green light. If you're, there's always a time.
No, you're schizoing. Don't.
I'm just joking. But I don't think murder is you can't just justify murder because there's nothing you can do about someone's fucking up your drive to work.
Person do?
If there is nothing they can do, well, first of all, they're gonna keep trying, but murderer just isn't it.
So what is
it? Obviously it's not it.
That's nothing. If you're saying there's nothing, then there's nothing.
Because obviously in that situation there was another solution.
Fight until there is another solution. So the law is not doing anything. Keep fighting and bitching and screaming about it until they do something about it. They shouldn't be allowed to get away with that.
Well, and he did. He made the to this day most comprehensive guide on how to not get DDoS.
Well, good.
And that fixed that fixed it.
Let's say in another situation where there isn't that final fixable thing, do you just keep fighting and clawing out until you have nothing left?
Well, hypothetically, what would be the situation? Because now you can go to police about online issues, and they're much more receptive to it than they were, 10, 12 years ago when this happened.
I'm less interested in now, more to a hypothetical. I find the hypothetical more interesting. But
the hypothetical were I don't know. Safety precautions progressed.
I think you should be able to kill kids. I'm a proud supporter of birth control.
Okay. Well, all right.
Yo, wait. When did Danny get here?
Oh, my girl.
Oh.
Yeah, I just joined right now.
What's up, Danny?
I was curious.
Yeah, we're having a Smeth panel.
It's not. This is just a fucking Discord call.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what every single fucking one of your interviews are. Okay.
Mine.
Smeth, can I request Banjo Kazooie World 3 on your stream, please, for music?
No, you cannot.
Wait, is Smeth the guy who did a thing with Grace? And then
possibly.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the guy that got made fun of in a car for 9 hours by Grace. Yeah.
Wait, did Smeth cry or did Grace cry? I'm not even trying to be mean or anything. I'm just didn't something happen?
Yeah.
Someone cried.
I'm sorry. I'm not trying to press you or anything. I'm just I'm trying to.
He will never forget this.
Picture who you are. Well, I've heard of you though. You're like a guy.
I haven't heard of you.
Right.
You're just a nobody.
Oh,
you come in here and you start to stir up drama. You come into my fucking house. Come into my fucking house. You fucking come into my house. You try to stir up drama. Why don't you fucking pull your pants down while I fucking rape you fucking bitch?
Jesus Christ.
Dude, I bet your 12
Pull him down.
I bet your 12 viewers think it's hilarious.
All right, let's not low bro people based on viewership here. I don't have that much.
He's trying to little bro me. He was calling me irrelevant.
You
or something.
came in
yeah,
here
Bro, you
trying to
got
stir
so
up
weird.
drama.
Not
So go
No,
fuck
I was just-
yourself.
I'm sorry, bro. I didn't mean to make you mad.
I'm not. No, I'm
sorry.
not. I'm just. It's okay.
You're screaming at me, bro.
I'm playing the game.
Screaming at me! Stop screaming at me!
Oh my god.
Wait, who did cry though?
Grace.
Why? I never watched that stream.
Because I got out of the car. I don't want to talk about this anymore, and I refuse.
Well, in any case, this isn't a nobody, okay? This is Danny of the DIRL community. IRL streamer.
Yes.
Yes.
You guys can proceed with your conversation. Proceed.
Okay.
I got one more question.
We don't have a fixed subject anymore. It's just
It's just a
devolved.
Discord call.
Yeah.
Smeth,
Okay.
what's your favorite city in Rhode Island, and why is it Woonsocket?
Uh,
Oh, I can stream this. Hold on.
Because Sam Hyde lives there.
Sam Hyde lives in Fall River.
Oh shit! Whoa! Hold on. That racist. That was a bait. Racist. Alt-writer.
Oh, someone linked something. Obama thing.
The true answer should be because Woonsocket's closest to the Massachusetts border, so you can buy vapes.
All right.
Can you not buy vapes in Massachusetts?
Not flavored. They outlawed all flavored. Do you realize how many small black businesses they put out? Like, it's horrible.
All right. I've enjoyed myself. I got it. I think it's time.
No.
Isn't it?
Yeah, that's fair.
It's nice. It's nice.
No.
Danny, it's nice fucking with you.
It was a cool conversation.
It was nice fucking with you too.
Yeah.
I miss you already.
That's
Wow.
me.
Y'all have a good
I love
time.
you.
Really glad that Ryland's got
Thanks,
HIV. Smeth, have a good rest of your stream. Carrie, keep being cool. Legacy,
Thank
nice seeing
You
you.
too.
Bless you.
It was nice hearing
Love
from
you.
all of you.
Danny,
hearing
keep
you.
little
Bye.
bro and Smeth. I'm serious.
Wow.
Bro, he was begging for it. He was fucking begging for it. the way
I'm
he
just
was
fucking
dressed.
fighting back.
I feel awful because I promised a friend of mine I would play Phasmophobia with them after the Smeth call, but it just carried on for so long. Now you don't know if they
Bro.
hate me.